come out and said the tide of globalism is going out. The world government of the corporatist is falling. Now, we have got obviously another jam-packed transmission lined up for you today. The first thing I want to get into is the fact that the media is in a total and absolute complete push to act like Trump needs to be impeached because he said that Obama was spying on him. But the Democrats were on the news admitting that they were spying on Trump during the campaign and after the campaign as well. So we have all of that unfolding. And we have the spectacle of CNN still, almost 48 hours later, 2 days after Vault 7 broke, biggest thing in WikiLeaks history, has said nothing about it. Separately, we have had multiple posts on Facebook completely disappeared. And Facebook now brags to China, we are now officially censoring in the U.S. We're ready to enter the Chinese market in a press release. So they're putting out announcements to China, we're ready to censor, we're ready to move into your market, we're ready to come to communist China, the biggest mass murderers in history. We're ready to work with people that have killed 5 times what Hitler did. Mao killed 80+ million of his own people alone. Tens of millions more killed. We're ready to come to your country. We're ready to censor. We've already practiced it in Europe and the United States. Remember he told Merkel last year, I'm going to start censoring? He has. Meanwhile, they don't even send you notices when they censor you. They just deep six your article or video. We had a video a few weeks ago with 14 million views. They didn't send us a notice. There was nothing wrong with it. They just disappeared it. And then they go on the news and deny it's even happening. Until now, they've told USA Today that, yes, we're starting to censor. And ladies and gentlemen, it's interesting what they're censoring. They deleted an article about Rand Paul coming on this show and talking about the deep state spying on Trump and how Trump's right. They don't want any coverage of that, any traction. And they also deleted an article by Paul Watson, didn't tell us why. Former CIA analyst, Obama gave green light for NSA, CIA to sabotage Trump. Very credible. Former senior CIA, ran an entire section of the CIA, that's top echelon, saying, oh no, my current colleagues say they were ordered to sabotage Trump. Because it's so credible, it's so powerful. They don't want Congress hearing about this. They don't want this guy getting any attention. I want to get him on the show, by the way. So they just shut down the interview from RT. They're not shutting us down because we're fake. They're shutting us down because we're so credible. Remember, in 2004, it's so old, our archives aren't even on the web anymore. We had to go to the Wayback Machine. And in 2006, we wrote the very first articles of anybody for Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll put one of those up on screen, where tech companies announce that they're using the microphones that are in your computers to listen to you. In fact, CJ brought it into me and I had it printed out, but metaphysically, this article isn't meant to be seen. I can't find it. You guys punch that up. You did find the 2006. Punch that up for TV viewers and radio listeners. And there we are first, showing everyone the information, going over it, documenting. Everybody knows we've told you your laptop's watching you. It's not just does it sometimes. It's the companies that are doing it, much bigger than the government. So this is all coming up. We'll show you the article when we come back and a bunch of others that we've written over the years documenting all this. We told you 2 years ago Samsung was watching you. Samsung put it in their terms of service when you buy the TV. Who thinks when you buy a TV you're going to read 50 pages of terms of service? And it says, watch what you do. Third parties are watching and listening. I mean, I'd love to say I broke all that, but I didn't. They said they were doing it. They told the world they were doing it. So we're going to come back and break all this down and get into the incredible economic numbers on both sides, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm Alex Jones. Spread the video link if you're watching us at Infowars.com. All right. This will be a broadcast long remembered. It's the 8th day of March 2017. I am your host, Alex Jones. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have several in-studio guests. I'll tell you about those folks a little bit later. at the start of the next segment. But before I go any further, 290,000 jobs created in Trump's first month, shattering expectations. That's a Paul Joseph Watson article at Infowars.com. It's also in the Associated Press. Why is the MSM ignoring Trump's sex trafficking bust? Town Hall finally asked the question we've been bringing up. That is super important. But getting back to the economy, Samsung is announcing they're going to move their giant factories from Mexico to the United States. All because they know the corporate tax is going to be cut down to make it competitive. Amazing things are happening all over the place. And Ivanka Trump's clothing line, kicked out of Macy's and other stores, is now selling at double any previous record for her clothing line, even last year. So the good news is they're trying to sell the idea that they can bully and intimidate us and shut us down as we try to build our own markets and have our own ideas and try to create a chilling effect of intimidation. But that's not going to work, because the tide of globalism is going out. The former head of Davos came on the show last week and said globalism is a corrupt, evil institution that is imploding. What they claimed it was for was always a lie. And Peter Thiel has gone public saying it's collapsing and that history is completely pulling away from it. So the globalists need to know their criminal operation will be defeated. And no amount of kicking and screaming and lying and dirty tricks will put it back together again. That's why you saw the massive information come out in the Vault 7 leak from the CIA. And very few globalist publications are even trying to claim that that's the Russians. No, none of this is the Russians. It's all U.S. and British intelligence. British intelligence is leaking info on the pedophile rings at the highest level of government over there. Major police chiefs are coming out and saying pedophile rings run the government. Now, the media is hardly picking it up, but it's happening all over the Western world. The people and folks in government are trying to turn the tide against the evil right now. There is an epic war, a battle going on. And it's an incredible time to be alive and in the middle of it. So no matter what color you are or where you came from, if you love freedom and justice, we're brothers and sisters together in this epic fight. And I want to salute you all and thank you all for the work you're doing and the support of this broadcast. Now, before I get into all the huge news, right up front, we are being censored more and more on Facebook, on Google, and on Twitter. A lot of our articles, they just won't let us tweet them. It's never anything vulgar. It's never anything even wild. They don't care if it's some stupid social justice warrior video of them acting stupid. It's okay if that's got 20 million views. But when we send out an article with a former CIA section chief in intelligence gathering saying that his industry associates and his CIA associates, and he's at the State Department now, all tell him that there was a green light. They were ordered to go after Trump during and after the campaign, and that Trump is correct. They will not let us have that on Facebook. They have deleted it. They take it down. They don't even tell us why they've done it. That is such a big deal. So we're going to focus more on this Infowars.com article, and if they won't let us spread it on Facebook, if they delete it off Facebook, just our link, you as humans can overpower Mark Zuckerberg and get that article and others out. We're going to start sending out a daily email of not just our news, but news that's censored, that's accurate. They also deleted yesterday our post of Rand Paul, the senator, joining us to talk about the deep state at war with Trump and how Trump's right and how Trump was being wiretapped. They don't want any credibility on that. They want to run around saying Trump's insane with Bloomberg News calling for him to be impeached. There is a war going on, and if they get away with this censorship, they're going to do it to everybody. But if we stand up to it, they're going to lose. The interview is up on Infowars.com that they do not want you to see. It's Rand Paul. Public will live in fear after Vault 7 leaks. They don't want you to see an 18-minute interview with a sitting U.S. senator, because they told USA Today starting Sunday they were going to ban fake news or send you a notice. They don't even do that. They just delete it. Was it fake to have a senator on for 18 minutes? Was it fake in 2004 to put out the first articles about microphones in computers listening to you from a Google press release? It doesn't get any more real than that. Or how Samsung TVs were watching you? Is it fake? And the answer is no, ladies and gentlemen, it's not fake. Let me show TV viewers an article from 2006. For some reason, I guess we turned off old servers that had stuff pre-2006 on it, 2004. That's a big deal. I want to find our old website. Because Infowars and Prison Planet go back to 1997. Infowars does. Another thing Der Spiegel got wrong. They said 1999. That's when we transferred the domain. There it is, the last article we can find. 10 years ago, government industry to use computer microphones to spy on 150 million Americans. Invasive surveillance and advertising obliterates even Minority Report style technology. Paul Joseph Watson, Alex Jones, prisonplanet.com, September 6, 2006. We probably find the Infowars version as well. We can't even find the ones that are older than that. There are shows I did in 1999 where I bust open a Scientific Atlantic cable box on Access TV and show you the microphone inside of it before they had voice prompt or any of that. And I was told by a Time Warner executive who was an engineer and who held patents on it that he was pissed that they were using some of his systems to listen to people. And guess what happened when I did that? I got thrown off the radio the next week. And I got physically attacked, and my car got attacked, and I got phone calls, and they said, you are in trouble now. Shut your mouth, or it's over. And you know what? I didn't shut my mouth, did I? I told everybody about this 18 years ago. 18 years ago. And I'm not bragging. But the reason we're being shut down everywhere and kicked off Google Ads and kicked off Facebook is because we're real, we're hardcore, we're trailblazing, we're cutting edge, we're real investigative journalists. We know what we're doing. You know, other media got told about this in the 90s, but they wouldn't run a story that cable boxes were listening to you. They wouldn't do it. So today, I'm going to tell you what else they're doing here in just a moment. And then when Dr. Group joins us, probably the most important information we've ever covered. But understand, 18-year-old information, ladies and gentlemen, is now cutting edge on Fox. CNN won't even report it. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of documents from the CIA, how they're spying on Congress, the American people, you name it, and Bloomberg and Fox News were all this morning saying, should Trump be impeached for the lie that he's being spied on? How dare him get back 290,000 jobs in just 45 days? How dare him get the stock market at $3 trillion? How dare him, how dare him, how dare him, how dare him? How dare him have Samsung announce they're coming back and that ExxonMobil's going to build giant facilities on the Gulf Coast and 45,000 new jobs, average job $100,000 apiece. How dare him every day reverse the tide of globalism? How dare the president even try to talk to the Russians? He's not allowed to. CNN said. He's the president. He can talk to whoever the hell he wants. That's what presidents do. It's sick. These freaks are sick, and they still think they're in charge. Before I go any further, though, here's the big news. I know 4 people close to me who've taken Biome Defense, the best probiotic out there. We did our research, 4 years in development with the top companies and Dr. Group, to bring you the biggest wide spectrum, good bacteria flora, some of the most ancient bacteria flora out there. Very expensive to get these strains, by the way. We have 25 billion live and 50 billion live. So the super strength and the regular strength, they're both powerful. Take it 2 or 3 times a day. I know people that have had irritable bowels for almost a decade, and it was ruining their life, and they'd taken probiotics before, it didn't help them. I said, you take this at morning, noon, and night and see what happens. A month later, completely normal. The food you eat that's processed has pesticides and herbicides in it that kill all the good bacteria. Then you got dead flora and nothing but yeast and garbage in your stomach. The good bacteria go in and then displace all that, and you get back to normal. It's incredible. Bill Gates' #1 investment area is gut flora. He knows what he's doing to people through Monsanto and the rest of it that he's involved with. They won't tell anybody this stuff. Biome Defense, support the broadcast, get it. But now, Dr. Group's going to come in at the bottom of the next hour. Skip this break. MycoZX. This is a decade in development. You don't want to take this on an empty stomach. Dr. Group's going to come in. You should talk to your physician before, because this is serious business, okay? This is an anti-yeast, anti-fungus. Supports normal fungal and yeast balance. Proprietary blend of herbs and enzymes made with the highest quality ingredients. It's jam-packed with the capsules. It is $39.95. It should be $100, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good. Nothing else is like this. 120 vegetarian capsules. Ladies and gentlemen, MycoZX is going to be the ultimate game changer for so many people, because our environment is infested with mold. It's infested with yeast. It is taking over. I mean, you see the reports, people getting brain tumors from mold and yeast. I mean, it's just out of control. It's killing the bats in most of the caves in the U.S. I mean, it is mutated. It's out of control. It's tied into the geoengineering and so much more. And this is unbelievable. I mean, you think biome defense and top-of-the-line probiotics change a lot of people's lives. Read the 5-star reviews at InfoWarsLife.com. MycoZX is unbelievable. But I will tell you, I wouldn't even call it side effects, but you actually take it. It's dramatic. It's been dramatic for me. It's been dramatic for others. So consult your healthcare provider or do your research, because depending on how infested you are, it is unbelievable. Unbelievable what Mother Nature does with these concentrated herbs and the enzymes. That it's amazing. It is amazing. And so many people that are really, really obese are basically colonized by yeast and fungus. That's well known. This is unbelievable. It's just like bacteria become drug resistant. Well, it's the fungus, it's the yeast, because you don't have good bacteria in you for decades because of all the pesticides and herbicides. The bacteria aren't even in you most of the time, or not even anywhere near the flora they should be, or they're bad bacteria. And then who moves in? The yeast and the fungus, especially with women. But let me tell you, I didn't feel too good when I took this a couple weeks ago. It's anything we sell, I take before. But let me tell you, it was dramatic. Dramatic. And I felt so good after. People say, man, what's up with your skin? It's like glowing. And it's just like amazing. So MycoZX, InfoWarsStore.com. We've got free shipping until next Tuesday. And if you get the Biome Defense probiotics with it, you get an additional 10% off on those. Sign up for auto ship, get 10% off. Oh, yeah. Sign up. Of course, if you get $50 or more, it's free shipping on top of that. MycoZX. Active defense. Your body's natural defense. Activate it today. MycoZX. All natural. Anti-yeast and fungus. And it goes with Biome Defense. 10% off. No reviews yet. It just came out. Read the Biome Defense, though. It's got incredible reviews. You get free shipping on that. Sign up for auto ship, an additional 10% off. That's 20% off when you get auto ship with the 10% discount that's already there. Free shipping. Do yourself, do your family, do your children a favor. Check it out for yourself, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And we're almost sold out for the Tennessee Arms copper insert resin lowers that can do 30,000 to 60,000 rounds, depending on whose gun they put it into. And it's totally legal and lawful. You drill out the 20% yourself with the Trump 1776 Reborn. Those are about to sell out. It's a great collector's item. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Those are about to sell out. Also, they're censoring us more and more on all the major internet platforms, as you know. That's why it's key. They could even start censoring Infowars or Prison Planet. They've got some stuff in the works to do that, by the way. I haven't gotten to yet on air. That's why you need to sign up for the free newsletter, Infowars.com/newsletter. And we send you, 50% off Winter Sun, the highest quality vitamin D3, 50% off that. We give you the best discounts daily for people that are part of the newsletter, along with exclusive articles and videos. And we're going to start sending out every day, not just our news that's been censored, but other credible news from other sources that we see being censored. So send us at show tips, anything you see be censored, screenshots, documentation. We want to tell folks about what the enemy doesn't want the people to be aware of. Infowars.com/newsletter. Go there today and sign up for that free newsletter. It's more critical now than ever. And also send that email out after you get it out to everybody you know. We are in an information war. Now, let me lay out, before we go to break, and Eddie Bravo, one of my good friends, joins us here in studio, of course, the Joe Rogan Experience and Planet 10 Jiu-Jitsu and UFC commentator. Before he comes in here to talk about the world, just his view of things, I want to lay out to all the viewers and all the listeners, but especially to people that make jokes about this broadcast and take it out of context and put together the comedy pieces out there that I think are hilarious as well. It's done by Salon and Facebook, and it's done by Media Matters, and it's done by Esquire, and it's done by you name it, to try to discredit us and hurt us. All it does is send us more viewers, more listeners, particularly young people. But they're so arrogant, they think their attack is having an effect on us, or they think I'm Machiavelli like them. They think I tell them it's helping us because it's hurting us, and I want them to stop. No, we don't do tricks like that. We can track, actually, that we're getting a lot of the new young people that listen and watch from the viral videos that are on HBO, that are on Bill Maher, that are on Vice TV, that are on Colbert, that are on Kimmel. I mean, it's every week now on those shows alone. They show edited mashups of me, sometimes going back a decade, goofing around or getting angry and out of context. And then people are coming here because of that. So I almost don't want to tell them they might stop, but it's just crazy how we're getting millions and millions of young people to tune in because they're doing that. Now, we found the old folks that watch those shows, and that's mainly their audience, they are getting really freaked out and believing it all. Like when Colbert has me saying, I don't like gays, or I'm anti-gay. And they'll probably take that and put that out. No, I'm not. I say, I'm not anti-gay, and they say, I'm anti-gay. So there's some real deceptiveness going on as well. I mean, a little kid went and did what Trump always says that means okay, everything's A-okay, putting your index finger with your thumb. And ever since I was a little kid, they had those in Jell-O ads, like, Jell-O. So I've always made, you can see me in photos going back decades, the double thumbs up. In fact, my wife and everybody always says, stop doing that in every photo. I don't know why I do these Trump-like deals. I never even watched Trump on TV before. I've been doing this for 20 years on air. Double thumbs up and everything's A-okay. People always say, oh, it's an Illuminati symbol. No, it means okay. Okay. The little kid does it, and they're saying it's white supremacism. That's mainstream news. I guess the 3 fingers mean W. I don't know what the rest supposedly means. Matt, you explain to me. Can you turn the mic on? I was in there laughing about it, and you said, no, really, you saw a TV piece on it. They're saying 3 fingers means a W.
So if you're holding up the OK sign, Alex, with your hand right there, and you're holding up your right hand to an observer, do I put him on screen real quick? So to an observer, your 3 fingers that are standing up make a W, and then your forefinger or your pointer finger and your thumb, that circle, well, if you were to draw a vertical line down your palm, then that makes a P. It's almost like you're looking for things in the stars like they did with constellations and things like that.
Sure, it's like when you're a kid, you see elephants or a giraffe in the clouds when you're 3, and mommy and daddy say, what animals do you see? Well, I've said this before. This is the mass mental illness on purpose, where they take all language, all literature, all culture, and make it offensive, so the only culture is having no symbols or no communication. That's why they've banned whiteboards at colleges all over the country. Someone might write something offensive. That's saying, like, ban books, someone might write something offensive. It's the next step. It's not just ban certain titles. It's like ban paper. I mean, we're truly getting to, Roddenberry's or, Fahrenheit, whatever, the temperature that paper burns. But they know what they're doing. Michigan State University bans whiteboards from dorm doors. What do you make of this? I mean, clearly the kids copying Trump, doing an A-OK symbol. And they've got some of the conspiracy theorists that are real conspiracy theorists, that turn everything into something as well. They're kind of like the liberals. They're like, I noticed they're all pseudo-intellectuals that then just wage war on communication. What do you think, Matt?
I actually think it's more of like kind of like a Jedi ward that Trump does with his hand. Whenever he does that up, he's like, everything will be A-OK. I'm the president now. Barack Obama is going to jail with Hillary. That's what that means.
When I was a kid and I was getting upset about something or whatever, my dad would say, it's okay. I mean, that means okay. Like, it's okay. It's under control, right? I mean, didn't that always mean everything's A-OK?
Oh, yeah.
So, but then these people say, it's Illuminati. Alex is in the Illuminati. Oh, my God. What matters is what I say and what I do and what I stand for, not what hand signals I make. It's like this symbol was originally to ward off the devil in Italy. then Rodney James Dio started doing it, so it became a sign of the devil. So if you do it at UT, it doesn't mean you're worshiping the devil. But if Bill Clinton does it, it means something different. You see what I'm saying, Matt?
Yeah, totally.
All right, I didn't get to the biggest thing ever, but I'm going to come back and cover it. We got Eddie Bravo coming in. But if you think it's shocking that they're listening to you and watching you, and I don't mean just sometimes, they're mass data collecting everything. It happens a lot. If you think that it's big that this all came true, folks, I got stuff 100 times worse. It's not my opinion, though. It didn't come true. It was already true. But when is Trump going to apologize to the little boy making the white supremacism symbol? See, it's like he $25 billion to the Black History Group or to the colleges, and they turn it around that he's racist for doing it, or Conway had her feet on the couch. They always got to change the subject. Eddie Bravo's in the studio for the next hour, then Dr. Edward Group, then Roger Stone, and so many others. We have a George Neumeier, if I'm pronouncing that right, from the American Spectator. A bunch of other guests coming on that Stone's got set up. Eddie Bravo is the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, or JJ.com, and he's on Instagram at Eddie Bravo 10. He's one of the top jiu-jitsu experts in the world, known for being able to beat guys that are top people and a lot bigger than him. Just had back surgery, though, so I'm not as scared of him as I normally am. But I've just known this guy for a good decade or so, hanging out with Joe at UFC events. So funny. So fun to hang out behind the scenes with. And I kept saying, fly here, and all of a sudden he's here, but he's got to go right away. I wanted to do like some late night podcast with him, but it's okay. We'll definitely do it again. But you were on that big record-setting podcast with myself and Joe, where she co-hosted a lot. Record downloads, record views, and they tried to censor it. They tried to block it. Joe confirmed that. In fact, some things like Google Play never even listed it. They wouldn't put it on iTunes for a day and a half. That never happened to him. And they won't put it as the top iTunes ever podcast, even though it is. Joe has the internal control board. He can see it's the biggest podcast ever. He's already in the top 3. He has the biggest podcast he ever did, times double or more, and they won't show it on iTunes as number 1. What do you think of that, Eddie?
It's pretty crazy. And first of all, I want to apologize.
Good to have you here.
I want to apologize for being an idiot and an annoying guest. I should have just kept my mouth shut. But
I want to apologize. I'm the one that usually interrupts people. Talking about with Joe?
Yes.
I'm glad you were there.
People complained about that, and rightfully so. I was very annoying. But the reason I got
it's actually kind of funny. Tell me about the replicas.
The dinosaurs.
Yeah.
No, but the main thing is I've taken a lot of heat over the years, a lot of heat for chemtrails, a lot of heat for that. And to finally get you in front of Joe Rogan's audience, who most of Joe Rogan's audience, they think you're crazy, and they think what the mainstream media, how they portray.
But they actually, 99% actually said, now I like Alex Jones.
No, because of the podcast, for sure.
They were blown away. They actually heard me.
I didn't get annoying until about an hour into the show. I just sat there.
Well, by the way, Marcos Morales and so many others watch the podcast. They also watch your podcast. They all love you. So let's be clear. You're loved on the Joe Rogan podcast. It was just that night some folks got pissed at you.
Yeah, well, it was because I wanted to clear up the whole chemtrail thing, because you're.
Well, let's do that. Let's do that. No one calls it chemtrails in the real world. I call it chemtrails. There is manipulation of the weather. It's mainstream news, and the media always picks it up and says I'm crazy. It's on the Weather Channel that there are secret programs. It's just so secret we don't know the details. Then other people think every condensation trail is is an actual chemtrail when they're crystal trails. But NASA admits the Earth's 30% darker. You can Google chemtrails from space. It shows the NASA photos. It's changing our atmosphere, and they are adding chemicals to the jet fuel at the industrial level. Go ahead. And I hope Trump, in fact, next time I talk to him, I keep forgetting when I talk to him, I'm going to ask him to look into geospatial manipulation of the weather.
Well, they're calling it stratospheric aerosol injection.
Yes.
John O'Brien wasn't at the CFR talking about it, how it's captured as interest, and it costs $10 billion a year.
Geoengineering. Tell us about tell us about the real atmosphere manipulation that's going on.
Well, based on what John O'Brien said at the CFR, you can watch this on YouTube. Just like the chemtrail people have been saying for years, that eventually they're going to have to admit it, and they're going to say that.
And by the way, search engine, the CFR calls for geoengineering. It'll be on their own website.
Yeah, you even said this for years. Eventually, they're going to come out and say that, yes, they are spraying the atmosphere with metallic particles, but it's to save us, for global warming, to save the planet. And that's exactly what John O'Brien did. He got in front of the CFR and he said, yeah, we're going to start spraying the atmosphere with stratospheric aerosol injections, and it's going to cost $10 billion a year, and there's going to be some countries that are not going to be into it because...
And guess who's behind it? Word for word, you're saying what they put out. Bill Gates called for this. Bill Gates is getting government money to then run the program.
Yeah.
They're running programs to control hurricanes. It's all in like Nature and Science magazine, but then they go on the news and say, Alex says Obama sent tornadoes to Oklahoma. No, I didn't. So again, they misrepresent what's really going on.
Now, explain the difference between legit contrails and the stuff that is the stratospheric aerosol injections. What's the difference? Because people say, oh, take a basic science class.
Well, there it is, London Guardian. Bill Gates backs climate scientists lobbying for large-scale geoengineering. So they're already doing it, $5 billion a year, Department of Energy, that they admit.
Yeah.
There was a Nobel Prize the two guys won in 1992 with the plan. By 94, it was launched.
Yeah.
And now it's over most of the world. It's a giant program. A lot of people, and I'm not kidding, since Trump got in, notice there's less of the chemtrails. And that's why Trump said we have advanced technology. We can pretty much cure stuff now. I want to roll this out to you. That's why the elites are really mad, because the word is, even though I haven't brought this up to Trump, I need to, is that Trump's killing all these programs. That's why they're so pissed. That's why all the agencies are just ignoring him.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, explain to the people out there who are still non-believers, what is the difference between legit contrails and the ones that last all day and completely cover the sky?
Okay, turns out people think of jet fuel as really volatile. It's not. Gasoline's like 3 times more volatile, more explosive, burns hotter, you name it. Jet fuel actually is like kerosene. And so kerosene, I don't recommend this. You can put it on your hand, light it, and it doesn't burn you for a while. That's what they kind of use like in a lot of the Hollywood sets and things. So you can add a lot of things to kerosene. They add barium salts, aluminum dioxide, and also some radioactive isotopes. There's only 3 big major makers of jet fuel in the United States. There's some sub ones as well. And they just, under a national security directive that's secret, but the patents are there, the directive is known, but the details are classified, they add this to the mix in a government program. They're paid to do it. And then they use the jet engines that the patents, there's like over 20 patents on this. You can Google it. And you get the patent office to use jet engines to then aerosolize for cloud seeding. And they claim that they're shielding the Earth from the sun because we've lost our atmosphere. But then you actually look what the scientists are doing. It's actually, hurting the planet, actually keeping heat in, the opposite. So it's like they're trying to create global warming, actually, because, again, the ultraviolet radiation goes through the clouds. The other good sun gets blocked and bounces back out. Those wavelengths get blocked, but the ultraviolet, it's like your dad tells you, on a cloudy day, you can still get burned because the ultraviolet comes through. That comes through, doesn't bounce back out. Okay, it just heats the Earth up. So they're trying to heat the Earth up in a big, giant secret experiment. And they admit they're doing it, but, it's just they won't give us the details. And then we talk about it. It's like, oh, Alex, nobody on your iPhone's watching you. And Google doesn't listen over the phone. I'm like, I have all their press releases 10 years ago right here. I mean, of course, now they all admit it yesterday but I had you here to interview you, Eddie. See, Eddie got in trouble talking over me. So now I have him as a guest. He won't talk. Eddie can talk more than anybody you know. I went to dinner with him a few weeks ago. He talked for 2 hours straight. It was awesome.
Well, on the Joe Rogan podcast, you wanted to talk more about Trump. I wanted to talk about chemtrails. So I kind of, and then plus you brought out the whiskey. I told Joe, no more drinking on the podcast. I get crazy. The Indian comes out. And then you brought out the bottle of whiskey. We started taking shots. And I wanted to talk chemtrails. And you wanted to talk Trump, and I got kind of angry.
You did a great job. Let's talk about Tim Planet.
I apologize for that.
Let's talk about Tim. Stop it. Stop apologizing. I'm the one who's apologizing. I'm the interrupter.
Okay.
Tell me to shut up. No, but seriously, let's just tell that I've seen you with the hottest chicks I've ever seen anybody with. How do you get all the hot chicks?
Yeah, I'm a married man.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was before.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Tell me about the lucky lady.
I love my wife. I love my son. I love my family. And
when did you get married?
I got married 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago and stuff in Vegas.
Hey, those were that was a long time ago, Alex.
I was good, though. Man, Joe can just go and go.
Joe can talk forever, yes. That's why he has a very successful podcast.
Yeah, he's a piece of work. Joe's awesome, isn't he?
He's an incredible man, yes.
Of course, you've known Joe longer than me, but I remember Joe. Did you know Joe like in 1998, 99?
That's when I met him. So we probably...
Well, I mean, he wasn't as big as he is now, but it wasn't a small guy syndrome. Like a big guy mess with him or got in his face. He would like routinely like choke guys out. Like I've seen him do it repeatedly. like big guys. They were like mess with him. I mean, but over the years he mellowed out. When did that happen?
When he started smoking weed, probably.
I guess he didn't really get into weed till when, yeah.
2001, 2000.
That's a funny story. He used to like be totally, and then.
Yeah, it took me like 6 months to talk him into it, but because I knew if I could get.
But you knew the old Joe Rock. You didn't want to mess with him.
Yeah. Well, I was the crazy weed activist at jiu-jitsu. I was a purple belt trying to get everyone to understand.
No, let's just say it. You've defeated like the Gracies, all the top people.
I defeated Hoyler Gracie in 2003, and that's the only Gracie I've ever.
But a lot of people say I don't follow. I mean, I follow UFC some. I like it, but I'm not like I don't know any of that. I mean, I just know that everybody says you're the best.
I am not the best.
Well, no, just long term, like with the technique and stuff.
Jean-Jacques Machado is the best. That's my master. So I'm not the best. I'm not even close to the best.
But you did just get a back surgery too, didn't you?
Yes. Got a disc replacement in my back, and I'm still recovering. Doing yoga now, trying to get back to 100%. Hopefully, I'll get there. But
was it the jiu-jitsu that finally got your back?
The doctor said no. I went to the best. Apparently, I got the best doctor in the country. I didn't even know. Someone recommended him to me, and he said that unless you have direct, blunt force trauma into your back, that everyone's back some people's discs go out, some people don't.
Sure.
And he says it has nothing to do with what sport you're doing or whatever. But said there's 20-year-old. He was showing me MRIs of different people and said, look, this is a 23-year-old girl, never did anything in her life, and her back's screwed. She needs disc replacement surgery.
Oh, I got pile drived once. So I got 2 discs that just are waiting to go out here and 2 down here. I'm not looking forward to that. All being puffed out, way out.
You're going to get surgery?
I don't know. It's just when they hurt, it's like, it's excruciating to even get up. Well, I'm sure you went through that too. So.
Yeah, my back was, I tried everything for it, and then I finally got an MRI, and they said, you don't have a disc in your L1S5, and or L5S1. I get those confused, but I was bone to bone for years and years, and that's where all the pain came from. So I finally went in there, got surgery, and hopefully it fixes it.
But you're such a cool cat and funny and nice. A lot of guys that are tough guys, I mean, a lot of them are cool. And I guess you and Joe have helped kind of change things. But I remember just some of the people I've been around from, UFC, they really are kind of aggressive jerks. But it seems like that's getting phased out. There's still some of that?
There's douchebags in every genre and every community. Jiu-jitsu has them too. So there's douchebags in the conspiracy theory movement,
Absolutely. I know Dana White's a super nice guy, but for all the power he's got, he's really down to earth.
Yeah, very nice guy. Unless you get on his bad side, then he comes.
That's what Joe
at you with the wrath. No, but I love Dana. What he's done for the sport and MMA. I mean, without him, the UFC wouldn't be where it's at right now.
Absolutely. I remember Joe back when he was going, this UFC is going to start to be bigger than the NFL. Man, it's so awesome. And Dana White, and I was just like, and then all of a sudden it just explodes.
Yeah.
Joe's been there since the very start, pretty much.
Yep. He was doing backstage interviews in '97 back in...
You say Joe. I mean, I've seen the workouts. Works out really hard. You say Joe's really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's one of my black belts. Yeah, he hasn't trained in a couple of years because he had a back injury himself. Didn't get surgery, but his back is kind of tweaked, and he might not be able to get back to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's talked about it, though. He's talked about coming back, but we'll see.
But he was a champion in Taekwondo, too.
Yes. He's one of the hardest kickers pound for pound that I've ever seen, and I've known.
Did you ever see that video where he was kicking till the blood was pouring out of his shins? I was like, this is crazy.
He was kicking till the blood was pouring.
I saw it once. I tried to find it again, but yeah, he was like kicking with some big UFC guy to see who could go the longest, like kicking a wall, kicking a pillar. And he did it till it was just like blood was, every time his heart beat, blood was just running out of the shin.
I'm not sure I've seen
I'm telling you, call Joe, absolutely.
Well, there's a video of him showing GSP, one of the greatest fighters of all time, showing him how to throw a turning side kick. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, you got Joe Rogan, the Fear Factor guy, showing GSP, arguably the best pound per pound fighter of all time. And he's showing him how to throw a turning side.
Let's Google that. I've seen that video. It's amazing. Yeah. What's the name?
You could just GSP, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan shows how to do what kind of kick?
A turning side kick.
You know,
It's pretty insane.
yeah, here it is. Let's go ahead and turn up the audio. This is Joe Rogan.
No, this is not the one. This is him showing how to throw a turning sidekick, but you got to find the one that says GSP as well. This is, yeah, that was the...
Doesn't Joe have the classic bulldog features? Hey, let's get into serious stuff, though. What do you make of them coming out and saying, okay, we're listening to everybody, we're watching Congress, your TV's watching you, everything's true? I mean, we already knew because the industry had to admit it or they could get sued. But that's what's crazy. This was in, I'd love to say, oh, I knew it. I had sources. It was in the press releases in 2004. Here's 2006. Government. Industry to use computer microphones to spy on 150 million Americans. So the big news I want to tell people is this. We're going to skip this break so we have more time. If you think this is big and shocking, folks, this is the thing they attack me on and say I'm crazy. You know, your TV's watching you. That's the classic deal. They're now freaking out all over the news going, I guess Alex Jones is right. What the hell? Folks, that's not what's important. They're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. And you go, okay, what's the proof? Thousands of medical reports around the world where they test them. They're adding cancer viruses that aren't even contaminated. It's not even in the chain of manufacturing. It's coming from egg whites, and then it's got some monkey virus that was never part of the production. They're doing it on purpose. They've been caught, and then it just goes from there, Eddie. There's a whole program to kill us. Yeah. They're putting fluoride in the water, which, in fact, it's on my bookshelf, guys, Eco Science is back there. He wrote it in 1974, the last White House science czar. But in 74, John P. Holdren wrote it, the book, 1,100 pages long, as a textbook. And it says, we put fluoride in the water to lower their fertility and to lower their electrochemical activity in the brain and as adjuvants to accelerate the other drugs we add to the water. Now, anybody can Google it and see it online. You can read the pages. It's, you know, it's at the different library website scans of it. See, they're lowering our fertility and killing us, folks. It's just like I told you the microphones and cameras are watching you. I didn't just pull that out of my rear end. They write books how they're poisoning you and your family. That's who Obama chose to run the damn country. That's who runs the whole chemtrail operation. Yeah. Yeah, and with the vaccines, the craziest thing about the vaccines, you know, most of the people believe, you know, they're safe and effective because that's what the CDC pushes. But, you know, when when you really, really look into vaccines, all you need to know is on day one, when your baby is born, they give it a Hep B vaccine. That's sexually transmitted. Why would you take that? Why are they giving? That's the Tower 7. You might as well stomp on their liver on the floor. Yeah. Yeah. The day they're born, and you know why they give them? It'd be better for you to go ahead. You know the reason they give them when you ask the doctor, why on day one are you giving a newborn a Hep B vaccine? Makes no sense. Say, well, when they're older, they're going to forget. They're not going to do it when they're older. So day one, it's standard. Unless you say anything, they're gonna inject your baby on day one with a Hep B vaccine. And then they act like you're crazy. And then the nurses, after you say no, they go, none of us do it either. Yeah. We've had nurses on who've given their names, but also nurses that have blurred out their faces. We're in the NICU, in the premature sick baby ward. They know when they give them the vaccines, they never used to do this. Now they order them to. A lot of them stop breathing and die. So they get ready with the resuscitation, with the defibrillators, with the ventilators to keep them alive when the bioethics board orders them to give them the shots. Yeah. Hep B, day one. Listen, when you've got a 3-pound baby, until 5 years ago, they never gave it. They give the shots, the babies die. Sometimes they can't keep them alive. They die. Yeah. I mean, they give them the shot, an hour later, they're gone, baby. Yeah, and again, that exercise of, in fact, we have the article. Let's put it back on screen for TV viewers. I'll give it to people. Go ahead. And again, do I believe you can get learned immunity from vaccine? Of course I believe in that technology. If there's some horrible disease running around killing people and I can get it or my kids can, we can attenuate the virus or whatever it is, my body learns how to defeat it. Of course I believe in science. The point is that a government that's been caught in all these secret experiments and giving black people syphilis and everything else, and radiating foster kids to death, why the hell would you take something when it's got vaccine protection? Yeah, when we were kids, there was probably 3 or 4. Now it's over 50. Yeah, and why is that? Does it have anything to do with the fact that Ronald Reagan signed a bill in 1986 that gave immunity to the vaccine manufacturers, which is basically Big Pharma? Exactly. And Reagan didn't know what he was doing, but that's one evil thing Reagan did, and Trump's trying to repeal it. Yeah, so since 1986, the Big Pharma can get sued for vaccine injuries. That's when they started rolling them out and green lighting them. That's why now we have
how many, like 45 shots babies got to take?
And you can Google this. The U.S. government admits life expectancy's down in the U.S., infant mortality's up, and IQ has dropped more than 20 points since 1950.
And according to mainstream
20 points, brother.
Yeah,
go ahead.
According to mainstream statistics, I could be wrong, I'm no scientist, but 50% of American kids are on some kind of medication, right?
Yeah, it's 50%. Adults, 20.
50% of kids are on some kind of medication, and we vaccinate the most.
And notice it says our population's dropping on NPR, brought to you by a big pharma ad. They got Big Pharma as the advertiser. When you go look at the program Shots, it's underwritten by the big GlaxoSmithKline. Folks, it's social engineering. You wonder why people are like zombies? You wonder why there's so... In fact, let's play a clip from Paul Watson's report on this lady last week. And you go out to these anti-Trump events, they're like zombies. Whether you love Trump or hate him, they attack you, they yell, they scream, they act like zombies. Let's play a clip. Here it is. That was a good clip. I like that clip. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And now for something completely different. Are we going to have that clip from Paul Watson's zombie deal? All right, we'll play it sometime. You know, these live computers. Ready for the clip? There. Well, third's the charm.
He is your president! Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just one individual. This isn't an accurate portrayal of the reasoned, credible, legitimate anti-Trump protest movement.
United States of America.
Oh, we should film
And by the way, this is how they act. This is like normal. You go out to any event, this happens.
It has to be a joke.
None of them work.
This is happening. I'm literally
Low IQs.
tell myself that I'm not
I love
kidding.
this.
You better fix it right
That's when
now.
Trump won.
I literally am gonna die.
This is D.C. I want to show more of the zombie lady. Let's extend it out.
Yeah.
Let's start it from the beginning. Can we do that? I want to start it from the beginning, just so people can see this lady. It's online. It goes on for like 30 minutes. Her howling with her tongue hanging out. And the thing is, Eddie, if you go to these events, this is how people act. Here it is.
Now for something completely different.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
It's more like babies throwing fists, but they're all super pale, little pot bellies, and they just look like undead. Then later she has her tongue hanging out, going,
Oh, man.
and I'm not trying to be mean. Something's going on. Look at this.
What the hell are they?
Look at this. I mean, that's what you see in mental institutions.
But wait, give her a chance. When she calms down, she might have an actual argument.
All right, I'm going to stop. Eddie,
That was amazing.
we're not trying to be mean to these people. I mean, what do you think of this?
I don't know, man. It's mass hypnosis? I don't know. I think people are...
By the way, you say I know all this. You and Joe, and I'm not kissing Joe's butt or your butt. On the show, Joe knew more about Pizzagate and stuff than I did. He was finishing my sentences. And so I misspoke for folks I'd talked to saying maybe Joe got threatened. He did not. You know, that's all. That was wrong when I said that. But seriously, why doesn't Joe do a separate show? This isn't conspiracy theories. It's crazy admitted stuff that's really going on. If Joe knows as much as I do or more, you're over here laying out all the facts just as good as I can or better. I mean, I think you guys should start doing a whole conspiracy podcast. You already hosted a national TV show.
I don't think Joe wants to do a conspiracy podcast. I think he wants to keep, just doing what he's doing. He's busy.
But more and more he is, because he's not a liberal or conservative. He's more like what a libertarian kind of, right?
I think.
But I mean, more and more he's getting mad at the liberals and just like the Young Turks, how they call everybody a racist when they're not. And I've seen that a lot on the show. It's getting really big.
Brian Callen, who's also on the show too, when we do Fight Companions, he's about as far left as you can get, as far pro-government as you can get. But he's been texting me the stuff that's been coming out in Vault 7. He's been going, whoa, maybe there is some truth to what you're saying, so even...
Well, yeah, it's not the government's bad itself. There's rogue elements in there.
Yeah. If Brian Callen is kind of awakening, he's like sort of awake, and the sun got your eye. He's kind of waking up. So there's hope. There's hope.
That was crazy. Joe talked about that. Like literally, almost all the comments were positive. All these people that hated me said, "Wow, I actually like Alex Jones now."
Yeah,
because they actually heard me talk.
Yeah, and the more people hated me, it didn't bother me that much because it meant that they wanted to listen to you more. They were mad at me for interrupting you. So for me, the main thing for me was that people listened to you. You got all the facts. You got all the documents. I'm trying to direct people to listen to you.
Well, a lot of it's not even that. I mean, if a listener tells me, get John P. Holdren's book, he talks about fluoride to sterilize us and make us dumb, I go get the book and he says it in there, and I'm not that smart.
How crazy is it that people are okay with fluoride in our water? How crazy is that?
Even Harvard admits, take it out, it's causing cancer. They just won't do it. They just laugh and go, oh, you're a kook.
People don't seem to mind fluoride in the water. They don't.
Well, then they go, well, you need some fluoride. Yeah, you'll die without a small amount of calcium fluoride. We're talking about hydrofluorosilicic.
Yeah.
It's acid out of fluoride.
And people think that the government really cares about our teeth, like they're doing it to take care of our teeth.
Now, let's put that article back up, because every time we put them up, there's a pop-up on all these sites, but I want to put it back up. The crew does a great job, and after a pop-up pops up, they take it down, and then we never see it. Now, there it is. Impact of fluoride on neurological development in children. God almighty.
Is Trump doing, does he know about the whole fluoride
He knows all of it. He's trying to get the economy turned back on so everybody gets on his side. And the vaccines, the fluoride, the geoengineering, it's all over.
Is he aware of stratospheric aerosol?
I haven't talked to him specifically, but I mentioned other people. They go, yeah, he knows. The word was from high-level CIA. They go, the president knows everything. They've all told him he knows everything. We'll be back. He knows more than we know. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to show you that Joe Rogan kick that's one of the best out there, according to Eddie Bravo, and get into some other issues. But Eddie, stop saying I'm the one that's the expert. The show is all about everybody doing their own research. Paul Watson goes out, 12 years ago and finds Google saying, we're watching you over the camera, we're listening to you over the microphone, in a press release to shareholders about a new form of advertising. So anybody can do this. And you're just as smart or smarter than I am. So
no, I doubt that.
BS.
And what is research?
Too humble.
Let's define research, because some people think that getting on the internet is not research. You have to go to a library or something. What do you mean? What's research mean?
Research means, okay, well, they have all these reports that...
Can you get on the internet and do research?
Yes.
Okay, can you get on YouTube and do research?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
it's
Some
simple.
people think, oh, it's weird. The same people that say, there was a guy on Joe Rogan's podcast, some paleontologist. He's like, isn't it fucking, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're going to delay it.
Isn't it amazing that we have all the information of all time on our watch? Isn't that amazing? It's incredible.
So this is the real Eddie Bravo.
It's an incredible time we're living in.
Cuss words are coming.
And then all of a sudden,
the dinosaurs are replicas. Do it for me. I love it.
Did you know that? Did you know that all the skeletons of dinosaurs in all the museums are all replicas? They're not, because the real bones are too sensitive and they don't want people touching them, so they lock them up so no one can see them. So all the skeletons that you see, did you know this? I didn't know this. They're replicas. Isn't that weird?
I want to take
Isn't that weird?
I want to take you to the Natural History Museum.
The only reason...
Here's what's going to happen. They're going to have a headline tonight on CNN. Alex Jones says dinosaurs weren't real. I'm going to tell you right now, I believe in it. But they're such liars in media and science and have been caught with big lying. All the big stuff with Piltdown Man and all the fake early humanoids they claim they dug up. Yes, there's a big history of paleontologists and archaeologists faking things. That's an admitted. In fact, Google history of archaeologists faking finds. It's epidemic. It's massive. It's a big problem. So you're right to question.
Yeah, if there's something out there that I got to take some unknown scientist's word for, some unknown government scientist's word for, and there's science that we don't know anything about the experiments, we just got to take someone's word for it, a government scientist.
Well, my grandfather was an archaeology major at UT. Yeah. After World War II. That was before World War II. The point was, and he was involved out before when they were building Lake Travis, when they found stuff, and he saw them dig up the plesiosaur. That's at UT. So if you go to UT, a lot of the places have these big giant ones where only a few pieces are real, and they'll fall apart. They try to weld all those together so plastic's easier, because they think the public's dumb. But you go to UT, and you go to the Natural History Museum, you go downstairs, nobody wants to look at it, you'll see 100% real dinosaurs all over the place. It's just...
They're not replicas?
They're not replicas.
Okay. All right. Then I stand corrected.
But
my point
you can argue about how long ago they were really here.
Well, my point is, if you go to a museum and there's a dinosaur skeleton and it's a replica, It's only cool to see a dinosaur skeleton if it's a real dinosaur skeleton. If it's fake, you might as well put skin on it.
No, I agree. When you go to the New York Metropolitan thing or the Smithsonian, most of it are replicas.
It's only cool if they're real. If it's not real,
and then they
you
call
might
it
as well.
and then they call it a conspiracy theory if you say it's a replica. Why are they showing us replicas?
Yeah, why not just put fake skin on it too? And just, it's only cool to see a skeleton.
I took my kids to that walking with dinosaurs where the robots come out.
Yeah, you might as well just
Maybe that's real, huh?
Fake the whole thing.
No, you've got a great point, because what do you do when the media gets caught lying so much? It then discredits all of it. I mean, who knows what's real, huh?
Yeah, and, something that existed 60 million years ago, come on, you gotta question it. You gotta
I just love how Joe says during breaks, like, Eddie doesn't think dinosaurs are real. He says it like that. Like,
hey, I'm just questioning it, man.
No, I hear you. Look. An alligator's not in the dinosaur family, but it's even predates dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a 24-foot-long saltwater crocodile. That's a dinosaur. During the break, Fox News and CNN and stuff are on in there in the control room, and it was like, White House under increasing pressure to show the evidence of wiretapping. There's no such thing. The CIA and Google and everybody just admits they tap hundreds of millions of people a day, and they just admitted that they were listening to General Flynn at Trump Tower, and we've got top CIA people coming out saying that he was under surveillance. They're like, how dare Trump? We want to impeach him, Bloomberg says. In fact, here it is. Trump's wiretap tweets raise risk of impeachment. Noah Feldman. I mean, this is crazy. They turn it all around. It should be, wow, Vault 7. Cameras on your phone, cameras on your computer, the sensors, the audio listening to you. I mean, that's been out forever. They turn it all around. How dare Trump say Obama was spying on him when they admittedly, remember a month ago, they said, we heard General Flynn with the Russians. We were wiretapping him. So Trump goes, what are you doing wiretapping me? You're crazy. We didn't wiretap you. I mean, the games they play, Eddie Bravo of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, one of the top jiu-jitsu trainers in the world, of course, one of the co-hosts, Joe Rogan Experience podcast. You haven't got out your websites. Give folks your websites.
10thplanetjj.com, 10th planetjj.com. If you want to learn jiu-jitsu online or anything like that.
You were like super calm on air with me. You were out of control with Joe Rogan.
No shots. Where's the shots?
Where's the what?
Where's the shots?
Oh, yeah. We need to get some shots
Hey,
going.
you want to wake me up? You got to pull out the whiskey.
That wasn't real whiskey we were drinking. We're like Hollywood people. We were drinking like, just like brown watercolor.
Yeah, I told Joe.
Food
no
coloring.
Whiskey, and he gave me the green light. So, I could bite my tongue and be calm.
You go in that little kitchen. There's like 20 bottles of whiskey in there.
Yeah. It's, but on the dinosaur thing really quick, if you want to look into the whole, did dinosaurs really exist? Go to YouTube, look up Eric Dubé's Dinosaurs Don't Exist, and then decide for yourself.
You know what's
Eric
crazy?
Dubé.
Who's the Christian guy? I forget his name. I've had him on. Who's the guy that in Florida had the Dino Museum? Whether you agree? Kent Holand?
Mm-hmm.
Hovind, okay. Yeah, it's real distorted. You guys feed to me the last few weeks. I've not really bitched about it, but it's just like, Cylon Raiders are attacking the planet. Alex, this is what's going on. We know this goes somewhere. I'm not mad. It's just they keep repeating stuff to me because I just have to portend what's being said down the system. Yeah, he just did this creation museum and saying the dinosaurs, lived before the flood. They threw his ass in prison.
Yeah, let's, for question. I don't know.
They said it was tax evasion because he had a 501c3 for his religious beliefs. You're supposed to have that. I mean, if they could have 501c3s to fund people to go kill cops, why can't that guy have that?
Yeah. I don't know anything about that guy though, but Eric Dubé, YouTube that guy. He breaks it down. It's pretty entertaining at the very least.
Now, we should have Dr. Kent Hovind back on the broadcast. He's a good guy. Now, getting serious though, what do you make, be honest, of Trump?
Man, I don't know, because when you listen to, I love listening to CIA whistleblowers like John Stockwell. I love listening to him. And what he says, what the CIA does is they're basically, their job is to take out leaders that are not playing ball economically, internationally, right?
Yes.
So if you think about all the countries south of the United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, they're all in shambles economically, right?
Yes.
All those countries. And to think that the U.S. is immune to that, all these countries, I don't know how many countries, is that 30 countries south of the United States, something like that, all of them in shambles economically, right?
Yes.
I don't know. So to think that it seems like the people, that the globalists, that's the formula.
Well, the IMF, the World Bank, admittedly in their own documents that relate to 2002, they want to keep the third world poor, whether it's Eastern Europe or Latin America.
Yeah. And it seems like that's the formula. Let's just keep everybody.
And now they want that. The globalists want to make the West poor now, too, to control us. And Trump, look at this, 290,000 new jobs, massive new factories moving back. It seems like he's blocking that.
So listen, so you asked me about Trump. Either what you're saying about Trump is the truth and I'm behind Trump, or maybe the globalists thought, how do we crush the U.S. economy and make them just like all the other countries in the Western Hemisphere? Maybe if we let Donald Trump be president, people will freak out, we'll aid the freak out. Maybe they wanted Trump in so that to divide us.
That's actually true.
I don't know.
Well, that's actually true.
They wanted it.
Early on, they thought Trump was easily beaten. It blew up in their face. They wanted him against Hillary, thinking he'd lose, but they didn't understand that the public was awake. See, there's a lot of smart folks in these agencies, but the politicians like Hillary don't listen anymore. If they're in charge, they're completely disconnected from reality. They don't know what they're doing. Trump completely bit them in the butt.
But I hope that's true. I hope that's true.
Oh, he's real.
But if it's
look at the MSM, how much they hate him.
Yeah, but maybe the globalists or whoever's in charge, the Illuminati or whatever, maybe the plan was like, how do we crush America's economy? Let's get Trump in there. And Trump is probably not even involved in it, in that. He's just actually trying to do the right thing.
Eddie, globalism's in trouble all over the world, though. They're trying to force feed it. They were arrogant. It's failing. They're not invincible.
Okay.
You know what the Illuminati means?
I want to believe that.
You know what the Illuminati means?
The illuminated ones?
Yeah. And actually, there was a renaissance against tyranny, and then the corrupt groups tried to take over movements of the Renaissance. They called themselves the Illuminati. They were the ones trying to hijack the Renaissance and end it. So the false Illuminati calls itself the Illuminati, but there's a real Illuminati, and nobody's even officially part of it. It's just anybody that wants to empower humanity. Okay, so you could say I'm one of the leaders of the Illuminati worldwide. And you could probably argue I'm the leader of the Illuminati. Or Donald Trump is.
They're going to sample that.
Well, I mean, let's get real.
Alex Jones thinks he's Illuminati. He admits he's Illuminati.
Well, I do, actually. George Washington was the leader of the Illuminati, the real Illuminati. And then the French Revolution was the false Illuminati. This was all in his letters. This was known. They really wanted to end slavery. It didn't mean they got it done, but they had this idea of empowering humanity. That was meant illuminated. God is the real light. Lucifer is the light bearer, the false light. So God is the real illumination. There's a false counterfeit. So the Illuminati we know of that does all this bad stuff and all the devil worship and stuff and compromising people in sex orgies and things, that's how they did it back then. Now it's child molestation. Back then you get in trouble for an orgy with women. Okay.
What, when?
Well, I mean, 240 years ago. Now it's got to be child molestation. And notice Trump's exposing all that. He's rolling that up. Town Hall, why is MSM ignoring Trump's sex trafficking bust? But I don't go to secret rituals. I'm not in some group. I'm not, I mean, I'm with the Renaissance, true human empowerment. It's just an idea. That's the real illumination versus the false illumination that's the Illuminati. Let's expand on that. I got invited. I got told by a major movie star who was a Rhodes Scholar that you're going to be invited to Oxford in the next couple months. And it's not just going to be in Oxford. You're not just going to speak to the faculty. They're going to want you to go in these underground caves and do sex rituals, and then you're going to be in the Illuminati. And I said, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I got the call, an official letterhead, come speak at Oxford. I said, no, Cambridge, called. That's a different group. And it was really, they were telling me, come to the thing, join the group. And Benjamin Franklin had gone when he lived in England, actually been part of those. It was the Hellfire Club. So I've been invited to the Hellfire Club in England. That's real, brother. All my kids, that's real. So, you understand, this stuff's real.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, is there, I know there was a bust in Southern California. They busted like 400 people for some kind of child sex.
Thousands now, yeah.
But was there a new one that
all over New York, Pennsylvania?
Politicians this time, right?
Well, they're getting the handlers and Sandusky's son, you name them. Here it is, that's Town Hall.
Is this Town Hall or is it? No, this is Southern
That's
California.
KTLA. Yeah, that was the one that happened the day I was out there at Joe's or the day before.
Now, which is the latest one? The latest one.
The president was it's just sex trafficking rings are being busted everywhere. because they knew who they were. They were just never allowed to bust them because they were procuring kids.
Is that why
See all these articles?
Do you think that
Thanks.
could be the reason there's such a resistance against Trump because he's busting these people?
Oh, absolutely. He's not a pedophile.
Yeah, and it seems like according to Ted Gunderson, if you look at, he was
a great guy.
Ex-FBI
He
chief
died.
in LA.
He was dead on.
Yeah, he was the one talking about this gigantic.
He exposed on my show Penn State like 15 years. I was like saying, "Sir, don't say that during the breaks. I don't want to get sued." He exposed Boys Town before it broke.
Yep.
He exposed Penn State. He told me about the British prime minister from his sources in MI5 slitting kids' throats. That was just in the news last week. The major police chief says he was a pedophile. I learned about from other sources. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, Ted Gunderson, again, has many videos on YouTube.
He's dead now, but
Yeah. He didn't he think they were killing him and poisoning him?
Oh, they did. They tested his blood. He had, it was arsenic.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy, man.
And he said he not only...
They poisoned, I'm not allowed to get into it, they poisoned 3 other people.
And he was in the FBI for 27 years. He was
the head of California.
Yes. And there's many videos of Ted Gunderson, former FBI chief. He talking about not only the gigantic pedophile ring that's going on nationally and internationally, but he was talking about the Satanism that's involved as well. And people think,
well, that's the deal. Here's the deal.
You're crazy for talking about that.
Look, a regular gang, whether it's white supremacist or Mexican gang, you got to go rob a liquor store. You got to hit an old lady in the head with a gun. You got to shoot somebody. You got to kill a rival gang member. Those are rituals.
Yeah.
Earn your bones.
Yeah.
You know, I earned my bones when you were with cheerleaders, you know, from the Godfather, but that's not enough. That's just showing you'll kill somebody and they got dirt on you. You got to hurt kids, and it's not just molest them. The highest levels, they kill them.
And they do something about baby blood, right? There's something.
Well, they terrorize the kid, then they drain their blood off while they pump all their hormones out, and then they drink all the adrenaline and all this, and then the essence. Yeah.
So and
by the way, Satanist groups have been caught doing that.
Wouldn't it be smart for the people that are running these rings, the people at the top, to get as many people involved as possible, right, in high places and powerful places? It seems like there's this giant resistance for Trump. It just seems like it's got to have something to do.
They're coming after me. I mean, I can't get into it on air, but we already lost, this year it'd be $5 million. That was all our extra budget and more. They took it away. Google banned us. Facebook's banning us, bro. I mean, we're getting hit hard. But I don't care. I'm going to keep going to the end. I mean, the listeners have come through, but they're really, this operation is like iffy if we can even stay where we're at. And I'm not trying to encourage the attacks, but they're having an effect. Listen, look what Facebook banned. They banned 2 things yesterday. The Rand Paul interview. It's a senator. How is that fake news? They didn't even notify us. They just banned it. They told USA Today they're not going to start banning news that they say is fake. And then also in fact, pull this clip up, guys, and then I'll show the Joe Rogan kick. Former CIA analyst, Obama gave green light for NSA CIA to sabotage Trump. Former CIA analyst Larry C. Johnson says that according to his sources, the Obama administration worked with the NSA and the CIA and Britain's GCHQ to disseminate information about Trump that was illegally obtained. Well, they did illegal leaks. They admittedly were surveilling. They think we forgot a month ago. Via surveillance before the election. Johnson joined the CIA in 1985 and was later promoted to become senior regional analyst for the Central Intelligence America. That's over the U.S. for Central America, so south of here, before moving on to his work with the State Department. And he went on to say it's a huge deal. It's totally illegal. And it's not their fault they keep missing clips. I keep jumping around what clip I'm going to. Do you guys have that clip ready? Let's go ahead and go to that clip from RT that is an admitted former CIA section analyst head. That's over thousands of people over a whole region. Central America, also operated North America. And he's telling RT this, and we're not allowed to give you this on Facebook. So, because this is fake? No, because we told you 12 years ago they were using cameras on your computer to watch you? It's because we're on target, folks. You think the President of the United States just calls regular people? You think the heads of, I mean, I shouldn't even get into all this. See, I used to think the CIA was all the bad guys. They were actually just the people fighting for the country with bad people above them, and they were always getting burned. As a course of action, they would burn each new group of people to actually keep control of who the patriots were. Like, I grew up and had some family that had been in covert action in the CIA, like killing people. And all I'd ever heard was, no, the government brings in the drugs, they kill people, you don't want to join it. And so I had that view. But over the years, the people inside that know all this now have the internet, they have us, they have the people. And so I've learned that, like, major SEAL teams, in fact, the most elite SEAL team, but Army, Delta Force, you name it, years ago, they would come in and order them to listen to Infowars. And I would hear this, 15 years ago and go, oh, yeah, sure, right. Yeah, they're telling Delta Force, listen to me. It's all confirmed now. And so they said there was no one else covering this. They said, you listen to Alex Jones. He knows what's going on. And that's just a fact now. And the media never runs with this because they go, what are you talking about with Trump? Well, he talks about how the intelligence community really loves me. So here we are saying they're the enemy. William Binney was the head of the NSA. He actually ran it, not the director, but the technical head. He's a patriot. He comes on all the time. They're the ones that exposed it, Eddie. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was told by Pachenik, who was high-level CIA, used to run actual overthrow governments. He said, the next month they're going to release even more on the CIA to discipline the top of the CIA. The CIA released that on the CIA.
Now, Dr. Steve Pachenik, totally legit, right?
Oh, yeah.
High level?
I mean, when he comes on the show, it's in, Italian newspapers, and then they send, FBI to his house, and he's called before federal courts. Well, when he releases stuff, they threaten him with national security arrest. That's how real he is.
Dr. Steve Pachenik, and you got some heat for this. This is kind of changing the subject a little bit. Dr. Steve Pachenik on your show said that no kids died at Sandy Hook, that it was a Homeland Security drill that they passed off as a real
He
event.
says that.
That's what he said.
And I've been hit really hard with it. I can't prove it one way or the other. I know Anderson Cooper standing up there and turns and his whole nose disappears. I work in TV. I know what a blue screen is, bro.
Yeah. And I have one question about Sandy Hook. The one question, the Tower 7 question is, why weren't the medevac helicopters
Here's the deal. Pachenik ran the operation to overthrow at least 7 countries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on record.
Yeah.
He co-wrote Tom Clancy's books. He's the Jack Ryan character.
Yeah.
Because he used to be in covert action himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he got into the CIA. Here's a big secret about the CIA. They've got hitmen that are former special forces and stuff that are Army, Navy, Marine Corps, because you graduate out of the SEALs and out of things into basically squads that are put in strategic locations around the country, sleeper cells. And so that's basically what goes on. But who they really have for assassins are doctors and psychiatrists. And so a lot of these people you see that are doctors and psychiatrists and things that head up things that were, in the Navy or in the Army, they were all put through secret programs and a bunch of other stuff, and they're the real hitmen. And and there's some weird thing in the government where it's a medical procedure we're doing, like torture is all a medical procedure. Yeah. It's this thing with doctors. So they send real hitmen after you. It's guys with medical degrees. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. Anderson,
it's all very professionally done, though. You understand?
You mentioned Anderson Cooper. What people think he was in the CIA, right?
Yes.
And wasn't Operation Mockingbird a CIA operation to infiltrate the media?
Yes.
And Anderson Cooper was in the CIA, right?
I saw articles saying he's not, but he admittedly was. And then they go, there's articles saying that no Muslims ever did a terror attack and that no such thing as Muslim extremism exists. I saw CNN say that last night. The Pope says it. Again, they're at war with reality, Eddie. Yeah. I mean, is there ever Islamic terror?
Isn't it funded by...
Exactly, but the point is there ever Islamicists that blow stuff up?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, they say there isn't. It's this mind game. They're going, Trump is crazy. He says there's Islamic terror. It doesn't exist. What the hell are they talking about? So they play these games.
That's a weird one because, I mean, didn't the Pentagon just get busted for paying $500 million to some UK PR firm for fake ISIS videos?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Islam has been scapegoated and set up and radicalized, but now the radical attack's real. Our government, the criminal elements, have funded radical Islam. First to fight the Soviets, but then since then to actually create this giant war. So I don't want to kill Muslims. The point is, though, we can't bring in people from Yemen, and I mean, everybody knows you can't go to Somalia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a failed state. Women literally are sold into slavery. We're going to unvetted bring people in from Somalia, like 50,000 a year? Think that's a good idea?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. So, yeah, there it is. Pentagon paid PR firm $540 million to make fake terrorist videos. Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? Isn't that $450 million or what was that? $540 million to make fake terrorist videos.
Oh, I misread it. Sorry.
Jesus Christ! Like what? Like what's? So you can't believe anything that you see when it comes to.
By the way, Eddie, I knew they'd done that before with a separate case. I see. I didn't even know about that article. That's from RT, and it's declassified. I see.
Isn't that crazy?
Eddie, why don't you do a question everything show? It's not conspiracy. We're just questioning stuff. Why don't you do a show?
I'll come out here once a month. How about we do it here?
Yeah, but you're too. Let me tell you, Eddie is the real deal. I mean, he's one of the toughest guys out there, and he's just so calm and so nice unless you give him a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, keep the whiskey away from me.
Me too.
Indian comes out.
I get pretty bad. Admit that was food coloring. It was brown food coloring. We couldn't be drinking like 3 shots at a time. It was not real.
I mean, isn't it crazy that's the biggest podcast of all time?
And that they won't list it. Joe,
they still won't list it.
He sent me text shots of the. It's the biggest thing in iTunes history, bar none.
The biggest thing in iTunes history.
Biggest thing. All added together, it's like 40 million views. There are a few podcasts that are like 10 minutes long that are bigger, but Joe's in the top 3. He has like a 3-hour show, 4-hour show. It varies for those that don't know. And he said hands down the biggest podcast in history. I mean, it has like 60% of the viewers of the Super Bowl.
That's
and
crazy.
They will not list it at the top.
So the Super Bowl was like 110 million.
Yeah.
And Joe's podcast was like 40.
It's 40 on just a couple platforms. There's a bunch of others. Derivatives, it's probably like 70 million.
That's incredible.
And they won't let you see it.
That's like a bad Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy. But listen, I'm going to get into all this other stuff. Go because you're too humble. They got to see the wild Eddie Bravo. It goes from absolutely ridiculous to absolute genius. Go do an hour interview. I know you got to catch your plane with one of the great reporters back there so we can actually hear Eddie Bravo unchained. But let's go out if we have it. I mentioned the CIA guy. I'll come back with that. Eddie's got to go. And we're also going to play that Joe Rogan kick since I mentioned it. Let's go out to break if we have time with the Joe Rogan kick. What's this kick called?
A turning sidekick. And he's teaching GSP, one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Joe will be texting me. He'll be like, I didn't kick a pylon. It was another guy's leg. I saw the video where Joe keeps kicking till the guy quits, and then blood is just pumping out of Joe's leg.
I've never seen that one.
I've seen it. It was like 10 years ago. I know I saw it. And if Joe says it's not true, he's senile. I'm not going to retract that one. All right, Joe's awesome. Look at him here. Joe's like a gorilla. Of course, I'm like one too, but not as flexible. Restoring the Republic, a pro-human planet built on shared destiny as we build an elevator to the stars. Dr. Group's with us well into the next hour because I want him to really stay with us and get to all this news. There's a lot of news I haven't got to yet. I want to hit the big spy news, the economy news first, and then I want to get into some health news, some news dealing with fungus and dealing with yeast and things like that. That is one of the most important things out there that people can actually do for themselves. This is so massive, I don't have words to describe it. And notice, everything we do is game-changing. Whatever the enemy knows that they don't want you to know, we're here to bring it out. Now, since I brought that up, let's get to this right now. It's here in my stack. I'm just going to go through the stacks till I find it, because during the break I was trying to find it as you were coming in here to the studio as Eddie Bravo was leaving to go be interviewed for the Nightly News by Leanne McAdoo. And I was sitting here going over all this. Zuckerberg of Facebook is in trade publications, PC World, Bloomberg, you name it, saying, I've completed the censorship in the U.S. and perfected it. I'm ready to enter the Chinese communist market. So he's proving himself like a whore shaking her ass or something in a brothel in front of the biggest mass murderers in history, the communist Chinese, that he's censored the American people. And guess who he censored? They announced on Sunday, USA Today, that they're going to block questionable news or notify people that go to it. No, they're just banning Rand Paul's interview on Infowars.com yesterday, Senator Paul. They're banning the CIA analyst on national TV saying, because they didn't like it getting out, that his colleagues in the CIA said, because he was a section chief over intelligence gathering and analysis, they just block that and just delete it. I mean, this is huge. This isn't like I said Ronald Reagan and Elvis just showed up in Vegas to play the craps table. They are censoring us. And they're censoring hardcore news that backs up the president. I mean, it's all over Fox, CNN, Bloomberg. They're all saying, impeach the president. How dare him claim they're unauthorized wiretaps? Because we don't call them those. We call them digital intercepts. They're playing these games, okay? A wiretap's going into your actual phone line and doing it. And so, Dr. Group, I want to get into some of this news and get into your big findings here and just this amazing info. But this has reached crazy level now where Trump is, they're in the news a month ago saying, we grabbed his intercepts, he talked to the Russians, and they admit nothing was said substantive, just that meetings were being set up, which an incoming president does. And they flip it around and go, we never said we were listening to Trump. I mean, it's like, where's the attention span? And then Vault 7, CNN, as of this morning, I haven't been following it since then, was yet to cover Vault 7. The biggest data dump ever, confirming they're doing fake Russian attacks to blame Trump. They're blackmailing Congress. They're wiretapping or digital intercepting everybody. They're turning the cameras on in your house. Big corporations are doing it to gather data on you. Well, yeah, they said so in press releases. I'd love to take all the news like, I guess Alex Jones is feeling pretty good right now. That's been all over the news. Yeah, Jones believes in Bigfoot. No, I don't. But he got proven right on this. Again, what are they going to do? This is such an epic moment right now as everything we talked about comes out. And here's the deal. There have been more than 5,000 arrests of reported pedophiles, hundreds of children in slavery rescued. And it'll be reported once in the local news and nowhere, and it's Trump behind it all saying, I'll cover law enforcement who's been threatened if you do this. The guy is an angel. But I'll say this, until one thing, this new bill that Rand Paul came on and talked about yesterday has some real problems. I'm going to go over those. And I know Trump said, this is just for debate. We'll see where it goes. I want to repeal. Let's get it going. This is what the Republican leadership brought out. So this isn't Trump, though he's trying to be positive. But this is the first time I've seen Trump not 100% deliver on what he said he'd do. And if he starts going sideways on this, I'll cover it. But Dr. Group, you're an Army veteran yourself, special operations, has been involved in a lot of special task force, you name it. You've seen where all this is going. I never made the government our enemy. It was criminal elements of that government. But I got to say, the MVPs, the patriots, the people that are leaking this, the CIA's our biggest enemy, our best friend. The people at the top of it are globalists, but it's the CIA that released Vault 7. They're admitting that now. So there's a civil war in America. What do you make of all this?
It's crazy. It's a war that's going on right now, and it's everything was so deeply ingrained with DARPA and with Planned Parenthood and with all the control and the geoengineering and all of the chemicals and toxins and the support of Monsanto and the chemical companies that are destroying the Earth's air.
It was a biological conspiracy against us.
I mean, if you look at all of the details that have been ingrained with the parties, and just it's not just Democratic.
Your dad developed bisphenol A, and he spoke out and suddenly died.
That's right. So
you had the Men in Black come to your house.
I did. Yes, I did. I was actually thrown in a black car, and I went through all that. And even when we were working with doing cancer research, and we were coming up with extremely good results, FDA raided my office, basically said I can't, took all my files, basically said we can't share this information with anybody. And it's the disruption that Trump is bringing into a controlled organization that's been controlled and manipulated for hundreds of years. And now you're starting to see some of these things being addressed. I mean, and hopefully, for the control of the population is what it all comes down to.
The good guys are striking back. Anybody, Empire Strikes Back, the good guys are striking back right now. You've been striking back since you got out of the Army. I've been striking back. We're all striking back, and we're starting to win.
It's a good feeling. I mean, but you're starting to see everything kind of start blooming now with everything that's going on and all the exposure. I mean, we've known about all the pedophilia stuff for a long time. We've known about that traces back to the MK Ultra. We know about putting fluoride in the water traces back. We had all of the research that I've done on bioweapons and that have been used on the American public and been used.
And people ask where? Oh, like the outgoing White House science czar, John P. Holdren. He wrote a book 43 years ago admitting the whole plan.
Yeah, the thing is, I have a hard time understanding why people just don't go do their own research. So it's like...
Yeah, we did our own. They admitted 12 years ago the cameras on your computer were watching you in press releases by Google to shareholders. It's not like... And then now it's all admitted.
Right. Now it's all admitted, and, the whole vaccine agenda, the Plum Island, the testing of biological warfare on Plum Island. All of this, whether it's a fungus, whether it's a virus, a bioweapons that were used in Iraq, that were sprayed in California with Operation Sea Spray, where they sprayed a bunch of biological weapons all over in San Francisco. They tested biological weapons in New York. And
it's declassified. They put in hepatitis shots for gay men in New York, the AIDS virus.
And you can actually pull this stuff up on Wikipedia now. It's not like we're sitting here saying, this stuff happened. I mean, yes, I've got stacks and stacks of research just like you do, and all of this stuff it's almost out there. It is out there for public knowledge. It's not like I'm getting
90% of it
documents.
Public.
Yeah, 90% of it.
That's what's crazy is it's in U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, Paragraph B, that, it's illegal to test on people secretly unless it's for law enforcement or research purposes. And then that's how they take foster kids and radiate them. And they're not radiating kids because they don't know what radiation does. They're testing people that are being compromised, like the Milgram experiment, to follow orders to then run giant criminal operations. Just like they get people to molest kids to be part of the group, or people to kill people to be part of the group, they're testing to see what you'll do.
And the thing is, all of the different things that they're using, whether it's fluoride or whatever, all of these things usually don't show symptoms for 3 to 6 months. It's like what I'm going to be talking about today, which is the fungus epidemic, the hidden fungus epidemic in yeast and mold. And
by the way, it's not just you. It's in all the medical literature, mainline doctors I talk to. I know 3 people the last year who've had brain surgeries, or their kids or their wives have. 3 people. Because fungus is getting through the blood-brain barrier and growing in the brain now. I mean, what the hell is that?
What the hell is that? Is that fungus is one of those things that loves sugar. And we live in a society which, again, some people say that high fructose corn syrup, was an attack on the population. And it was developed that way. It's got traces of mercury in it as well. But when you
traces, I have a Washington Post admits 90% of soft drinks have illegal levels of lead and mercury. You can Google that. Type in soft drinks, high levels of lead and mercury, guys. I want to show folks. Go ahead.
When you contaminate the soil, when you contaminate, the soil is contaminated because it's watered. Think about ages ago where the ancient people would take water from the local river and irrigate their fields. And that water, because there were fish in the water, the fish were going to the bathroom, so there was probiotics in there. And that's how you got the soil-based microorganisms. That's how the soil was living.
You got inoculated from the earth.
Just like the earth. So if you look at the earth and you look at our digestive tract, it's almost exactly the same, because our intestinal lining is almost like the soil, and the soil of the earth that grows out of it. So our gut is linked to every single system in our body and keeps our bodies healthy. So does the earth's soil and the water supply, supposed to keep everything healthy. But we've cut down all kinds of trees. We've poisoned the water. We've poisoned the soil. And that water, that acid rain that comes down on the soil, and we've been watering our soil and spraying the plants with heavy doses of atrazine and glyphosate and all the...
But we've got solutions. I want to get to this next hour. We got 15 minutes till they can move us the whole next hour. This is undoubtedly, because I've already was researching this. You've been obsessed with this for years. You finally have something that really counters this in a big way. And, of course, no one here at the office that's been taking the probiotics wants to come on air and say, yeah, I had irritable bowel syndrome or all these problems, and then I took Biome Defense from Infowars Life, and literally they all say it's gone, it's over. I may talk them into coming on air and talk about it, but this is next level, this new product, which I'll talk about right now, Myco ZX.
Yes.
Let's briefly talk about Myco ZX, and the next hour we'll actually get into the news and the big stack of stuff you've got. But it's available at InfoWarsStore.com, 10% off when you get it with Biome Defense. The probiotic is the very best out there. We've also have free shipping, orders $50 or more, and 10% off when you sign up for auto ship. Additionally, on top of that, and then you fund an organization dedicated to the truth and get something you and your family absolutely need. But you should consult your healthcare provider. This is not a game. This is not a joke, especially if you have really big yeast levels or fungus in your body. There can be some responses to this as you're flushing it. But why is this product so powerful? What does it do?
So we've been doing research just like you have on what's currently going on. Obviously, we stay ahead of the game because our job is to protect and address the root cause of the problem, which is why I've been...
Now, we want stuff for our own kids.
This is why we've addressed the president, let's address the root cause of America's health problems. But getting back to fungus, it's becoming an increasing epidemic that's only getting worse.
Killing bats everywhere, other animals, squirrels are dying.
Funguses were used as bioweapons.
So why is it suddenly killing so many mammals?
Number one, because our immune systems are suppressed because of the environment in which we live. So our gut is unhealthy, our liver is toxic.
Yeah, but why are bats all over the U.S.? Why are funguses suddenly killing entire, 10 million bats in one cave? I mean, suddenly just devastating.
Well, because the bat's environment is changing as well. It's not like just we change; the whole Earth changes when the environment becomes an environment that's detrimental to the Earth. It also becomes
that Google guys mold and fungus killing bats. It's all over the news.
Because bats are also, there's more sugar out there too, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with it because the conversion in funguses are adapting and they're changing. As a matter of fact, there was a new fungus called Candida auris that was just released, which is a killer fungus as well. Fungus is something.
The fungus now reached the West Coast and killed 7 million bats in 1 year.
Yeah, fungus is a growing epidemic, and I've been testing this formula and making changes to this formula for over 10 years. I've had nobody. Here's the thing, Alex. When you go to the doctor with a list of symptoms, you can look at symptoms of fungus overgrowth in the body. It's going to show, you're going to pull up over 100 symptoms, everything from brain fog, lack of energy, insomnia, headaches, bowel problems.
Joint pain.
It's joint pain. It's linked to Crohn's disease.
Infertility.
Now.
What about the obesity epidemic? I know they test people that are really obese and like they're just colonized by fungus.
Yeast overgrowth. I have a study right here by Jacob Titelbaum at the Fibromyalgia and Fatigue Center in Dallas. Yeast overgrowth is linked to an average weight gain of 32.5 pounds. What doctor?
By the way, folks, look, I'm not bragging. We game changed the presidency. We game changed the New World Order. Globalism is falling because of you. You are the Infowar. Listen, this is religious for me, okay? I do not bring you something unless I absolutely believe in it. And if we were reigned with $1 billion, I would turn 99% of it against the enemy. I want to defeat them. I'm ready to give my life. Everybody knows that, against the enemy. Please, we only have a limited supply of this. I want to get your reviews. I want to hear what you have to say. For me, it's been incredible. Don't take it on an empty stomach, though. MyCoZX, antifungal, antifungus, anti-yeast. Get it today. Limited run. It'll be months till we get more. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. I cannot sell something unless it helps somebody. I mean, just because metaphysically, I mean, just is who I am. I'm not even that good of a person. I just metaphysically don't want to hurt people. I want to treat you like I want to be treated. Texas hospitality. And I can't believe no one has put out something this good. This, just like other folks took probiotics, I said, take probiotics. They didn't have the effect. They took the biome defense you developed over a decade, the very best strains, healed them. I mean, horrible irritable bowel, horrible problems, gone in 1 month. I'm telling you, and from my research, correct me if I'm wrong, because we haven't had this talk, is MyCoZX is next level. Isn't good bacteria will displace the fungus and the yeast, but isn't actually annihilating them the key? Or you said there's a healthy balance.
Well, here's what happens.
This is next level.
So, first of all, if anybody drinks alcohol out there, and if anybody eats sugar, then you're most likely going to have an excess of fungus in your body. And actually, yeast is a fungus and mold is a fungus. Most people don't know that. They think it's separate. So it's all goes into the hidden attack and the hidden agenda.
Well, how is it suddenly growing in brains everywhere?
Well, there's a lot of, there's actually studies coming out right now that show that funguses can produce 600 times more neurotoxins, you're talking about the brain,
wow,
generated from a high EMF environment, okay?
So the electromagnetic, they're feeding off this.
Electromagnetic radiation.
Maybe they're a hive mind or something. I'm trying to figure this out. Why does the attack seem so alien? Because I've never seen aliens. I don't get everything the globalists do is like anti-human, kill us, annihilate us. So why are they out to get us? Is it just psychopathic inbreeding? What is it?
It's really more or less a slow death.
But why are the elite trying to kill us? I'm saying, who are they?
Well, because they want. First of all, it's a money thing. They want to control. They want to control us. If you really want to get in deep with
the ultimate power is just hurt us.
The ultimate power is slow death, increased money for the pharmaceuticals, being able to. It gets deeper than that, Alex. When you look at Morgellons, which is a fungal disease, people are having fibers growing out of their body, which is being traced back to some of the compounds found in the chemtrails right now, which are prions. And they're showing that you can control these things through electromagnetic signals, just like what you're talking about.
Well, that's what they say. It's a binary weapon. Right. They put it into us. Then they've been testing it in labs. Then they're testing on us, seeing how it resonates and controls it. They can put out a wavelength and activate it. The fungus. Every move you make, every breath you take, I'll be watching you. And then Trump says, I'm under surveillance when they're on the news surveilling him. They go, you're insane. We never did that, as if no one has a memory. We sure to point this out on Monday, and now it's all over the news. They're like, yeah, here's the New York Times. I watched Fox News this morning. Yeah, they said they were surveilling the president. You know, I'm looking for it in my stack. We've got an article here where Zuckerberg is in the New York Times telling China, don't worry, I'm going to censor the internet. I've already tested it in the U.S. And then a USA Today article, there it is, Facebook made China censorship tool. There you go. And they're now using that in the U.S., Zuckerberg using Chinese-style censorship tool in America, and what are they blocking? Senator Rand Paul on the show. It's a senator will want to have some hearings about that. That's what they blocked yesterday and took off our Facebook. And now, former CIA analyst, Obama gave green light for NSA CIA to sabotage. That's from Larry C. Johnson, CIA analyst section chief. Let's go ahead. It's from his sources. Let's go to what Zuckerberg doesn't want you to see this. Here it is.
Both Jim Clapper, John Brennan at CIA were intimately involved in trying to derail the candidacy of Donald Trump. That there was some collusion overseas with Britain's own GHCQ. That information that was gathered from GHCQ was actually passed to John Brennan, and it was disseminated within the U.S. government. This dissemination was illegal. Donald Trump is, in essence, correct that the intelligence agencies and some in the law enforcement community on the side of the FBI were, in fact, illegally trying to access, monitor his communications with his aides and with other people.
That's right.
All of this with an end to trying to destroy and discredit his presidency. I don't think there will be any doubt of that. I think it's worth noting that the head of the National Security Agency, and Admiral Rogers, made a journey to Trump Tower shortly after Trump had won. And in the immediate aftermath of his visit, Jim Clapper and others in the intelligence community called for him to be fired. Now, why did Rogers go to Trump Tower? My understanding is, let's call it was to cover himself, because he was aware that the NSA the authorities had been misused and abused with respect to Donald Trump. So I think Trump's decision to go out this morning and tweet this was fully intended to send a notice and send word that I don't think he's doing this without evidence. He does have evidence. I think it was just inartfully expressed in the tweet.
All right. So, and you've got the head of the Intelligence Committee in the House saying the same thing. No Russian evidence, and they were spying on him. They've got a big problem, but they're so arrogant, Dr. Group, we're going to break here in a moment, that they're doing all this. Meanwhile, this is out of the New York Post, FBI Chief Comey asserting power like no one in history. He's acting like he's the president, saying, it's outrageous. We don't wiretap anybody. Well, we know the FBI didn't do it. He didn't accuse the FBI. So Comey is a piece of work. I mean, just because he's like 9 feet tall doesn't mean he's allowed to act like this, man. God, just let us have prosperity, man. What the hell's your problem, Dr. Group?
Yeah, just stop the attacks and everything.
Jesus.
I mean, let's just move on and let's just start moving.
Just get off the president's back, jerk. He's supporting you, dumbass.
In a positive manner. You know, listen, I reached out to the Obama administration, the Bush administration to try to help them with health care, address the root cause of the problem.
What do you make of Trump coming out against vaccines?
Dollars. And listen, I don't remember anybody, regardless who was in office, that was out there in masks, you know, hurting people and trying to go 1,000,000 miles an hour and to attack. Oh
yeah, the Democrats are now a violent group. What's happened to them?
Like seriously violent. It's just like this crazy. I mean, they all need to cleanse. I mean, they all need some serious spiritual.
Have you noticed how unhealthy they look? I want to show the zombie video with Paul Watson.
Pelosi, I mean, she's like can't even get her words together. She's like slurring.
Let's talk about that. I want to show the start of Paul Watson's report when we come back. But you just saw what they don't want you to see. All right, group, I want to open the phones up at the bottom of the hour for questions, comments about what's happening in the world, but I want to get into yeast and mold in the next segment. But you were ranting in a good way during the break about what Trump needs to do. I mean, he's doing so much. I'd love to attack Trump. I don't care who some leader is, but he really is. The globalists are all against him. What should he do right now?
Well, I think he's doing a lot considering the fact that he's got so much opposition coming at him from every single direction. But I mean, I think it's going to be a slow process. If it were me, I would start looking at what is the root cause. I know that, you know, Trump right now doesn't want to ruffle any more feathers. But I mean, if you look at why we're dealing with so many problems with the earth, why we're dealing with so many problems with people's health care, you know, executive order to ban GMOs or to put together an advisory team of independent scientists to evaluate the negative effects of genetically modified foods. They're coming out with a whole new potato and they just keep approving these. Abolish. I mean, the EPA is a disaster. The USDA is
a corporate takeover of life.
The FDA is a disaster. I mean, you put an executive order together to where you can't have a head or someone who worked in the executive level of a major company like Monsanto or a pharmaceutical company running the FDA or running the EPA or running any government organizations. I mean, we've got to break all of this up. We can't have all these lobbyists and we can't have all these individuals that are tied to all these big corporations that are destroying the planet, that are manipulating all of these studies, that are saying that vaccines are healthy for you. You know,
that ignore all the real problems with the environment and make it about carbon taxes.
Yeah, and look, you can go and pull up all this documentation on, listen, I believe that we should have a choice, right? I believe in free speech. I believe we should be able to make a choice to who our doctor is, make a choice about what we're going to put in our bodies. That's another reason why I'm not happy with the healthcare plan, because if you're a licensed practitioner, there are so many people right now that are begging for natural medicine. They want to see all these studies on how natural medicine can help improve their life, how cleansing and detoxification. They want to know about the root cause of disease. They want to know that we all have a self-healing mechanism in our body, and our self-healing mechanism is being suppressed, and our immune system is being suppressed because of all of the chemicals and the toxins and the hormones and the endocrine disrupting chemicals. Trump needs to sign an executive order. If you can't pronounce the chemical, then it shouldn't be used in something you're going to ingest or put on your skin. Just look at all of these cosmetic products out there. Look at all the shampoos, the conditioners. Look at the air fresheners that are allowed. Why is an air freshener allowed to be put in somebody's home when it's producing high levels of toxic fragrances that are phthalates that cause problems with sterility? We have lists. It's not like I'm just sitting up here talking about all this stuff. Sign an executive order to take fluoride out of the water.
The globalists admit they're at war with humanity. They've turned everything into a weaponized system.
That's why they're so scared, because it's taken them 100 years to
set up a scientific dictatorship. And now all over the world, humanity seems to be figuring it out. That's what humanity does. Humanity finally figures it out. Then we overthrow it.
That's right. And the good thing, look, I don't want to be doom and gloom. The good news is we are figuring it out. And finally, for once, we believe and we have faith that we have a president that's going to actually do something about it, that understands what the people want, that the people want to be able to choose. If I want natural medicine, I want to go to a naturopathic doctor who has proven success, and I'm reading thousands of reviews online that this natural doctor specializes in Lyme disease, and he's got a special protocol that he uses that gets 80% success rates. I want to go to that doctor. He might be in Arizona or something, but I want my insurance company to cover that. We need to open this up and let people choose where they want to go and evaluate the doctors. And
also all the incredible things that Mother Earth's provided us for thousands of years. We're going to talk about it when we come back. We're going to give the number out also to take your phone calls on where President Trump is, on the whole new health care bill, where you see all this going. I'm Alex Jones. This is the Infowar. And at the bottom of the hour, I want to open the phones up about where you think Trump is, what you think about this health care bill. The first thing I can genuinely say is that he's tacitly supporting it, says he wants a debate. This is what the Republicans came up with. They're the ones that helped write the bill. It's still got a mandate. It still charges you money, but to the insurance company, if you don't get insurance. Senator Paul was on yesterday, and I agree with him. It's got some major problems. Trump said he talked to Rand Paul, and he wants it changed too. So, okay, great. But Trump's saying, give the people the repeal they want. Well, if it's a repeal and something like 80% is bad, we don't want that. But again, overall, Trump's trying to just work with Congress. We'll see what happens with that. Here's the new article. Infowars warned of government using microphones to spy on Americans 11 years ago. They would have called this fake news all the time. And then we show screenshots again of September 6, 2006. We just don't have archives. Our site, we just stopped serving the old stuff. We had stuff even older, but okay, I'll take 11 years. Government industry to use computer microphones to spy on 150 million Americans online. That was the folks that were online then. So the article goes over all the different Vault 7 developments that have taken place, shows you screenshots of our articles over the years. But again, I'd love to say we just magically thought all this up on ourselves and it just came true. It's hiding in plain view. They're geoengineering. They're putting cancer viruses and other garbage in the vaccines. It's admitted. It's crazy. Criminals run the government. Good people at every level are trying to stop it. Now, Dr. Group, go over your articles. We get a document cam going. If you're a radio listener, go to Infowars.com/show. You've got the floor to the bottom of the hour. Then we'll take calls together at 800-259-9231. 800, first-time callers, 800-259-9231. Let's get into the latest product. And again, we fund ourselves with water filters and non-GMO seeds. Everything's about life. Everything's about what you need with all the crap that's in the water table. But Micro ZX, discounted 10%, free shipping as well right now until next week when you get it with the Biome Defense Probiotic. The two go together like a horse and carriage. Why is the fungus? Why is the mold? Why is the yeast taking over? Why is it in mainstream news causing all these weird brain tumors and stuff? What is going on? What has changed? Dr. Group, the new product will sell out definitely in days. We have a small test batch. We've been trying this for years. You've been testing it for almost a decade. You've got rave reviews from your patients who've been taking it privately at your clinics. Let's talk about Micro ZX right now and why it's available at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLive.com, and why it's so important.
Well, years ago when I had my clinic before I was shut down, one of the things that people would always come to me and say, I've been to 5 or 6 different doctors and no one can figure out what's wrong with me. And after a while, I figured out, okay, if no doctors can figure out what's wrong with you, you're suffering from some sort of toxicity in the body. It's either going to be some sort of chemicals, metals, fungus, your bowel, parasites. A lot of times people are suffering from fungus or yeast or mold overgrowth and parasites. And when has a doctor ever told them that? Like, I've rarely, unless it's the patient that just asked the doctor to do a bunch of blood and saliva and urine tests and everything, most likely you'll never know. And it's designed that way. It's getting worse and worse because of all the carbohydrate-based diets, the fast food, the microwave food, the EMFs. All of that stuff is creating a thicker, stronger fungus. People are just, men and women. I mean, women are having vaginal infections. Candida is one of the main things that we're dealing with, systemic candida infection.
Crohn's disease, mainline studies.
Crohn's disease coming out now, and just came out not too long ago, the Mayo Clinic study implicates fungus as a cause of chronic sinusitis. An estimated 37 million people in the United States suffer from chronic sinusitis and inflammation of the membranes of the nose and the sinus cavity. And for years and years,
I know when mold's high, I feel like I've been run over by a car, but I take this new product that knocks it right out.
This has been in the works, like you said, for this formula has been in the works for over 10 years. I've been adjusting it. It's so fresh. I mean, when can you go to any store and open up a bottle of anything and you can literally smell the power of the herbs? Take a whiff of that. I mean, it's a very powerful
Just the
formula.
licorice alone knocks me on my back.
And like I was saying, if you
tell folks what's in it.
So what you have in this is you have a combination of wild-crafted jatoba bark, which actually comes from the rainforest. So we have ethical harvesting that goes on, and we work with companies down in Brazil and Peru and where the rainforests are, and they go out and they actually harvest this by hand, and then we process it without exposing it to any microwave radiation, which, by the way, the majority of products that come from overseas do get radiated.
They radiate everything now.
And so we try to get that in its most natural, fresh form that we possibly can. It's got Podiarco in there. And these herbs contain different compounds that have been proven to attack different types of fungus, mold, and yeast organisms. We use licorice root, which is a lot of times these organisms will put this mucus biofilm layer around themselves, and that needs to be broken down, and licorice root kind of helps break that mucus membrane down. And we also started experimenting with enzymes to do that as well, and it contains hemicellulase because especially Candida has a surrounding made of a cellulose matrix, so that hemicellulase is an enzyme that breaks through and eats that, as well as the beta-glucanase. And then we have golden thread and then anise as well. So very powerful formula. It's amazing. Most people don't even know. See, that's the way a lot of this stuff is designed. It's designed to incapacitate you over time.
Soft kill.
It's a soft kill, so you don't even realize what's happening to you.
By the way, I've never smelled licorice that strong of the smells. You get it so fresh. You cold press it. You don't process it. It's strong.
Listen to this lady that was testing this formula. She writes in, I had trouble breathing, itching in my eyes, my ears, back of my throat, and nasal passages, had mucus that I could not get rid of, dizziness, and the list goes on. Been to 4 different doctors for 5 years trying to rid myself of the issues I was having. Spent thousands of dollars getting nowhere. They told me things like there was nothing wrong with me. Oh, you have allergies. Must be the dust at your work or your home. Have been on half a dozen different meds and nothing worked. Found this formula and have been on it for 2 months now, and it's made such an improvement in my health. I am now active in sports again. I feel better, stronger, livelier. Thanks a million. And Alex, I have stacks of these.
I understand. Let me ask you this.
Like
why is the fungus, they admit this everywhere. Again, I know like 3 or 4 people that have family or themselves have brain tumors suddenly, kids, from fungus. Yeah, what the hell's going on with the fungus?
Well, there's a lot of different types of fungus right now that
but I mean, why is it getting so bad? Why is it getting worse?
I think that from everything that I've found, number one is what happens is as soon as somebody starts feeling bad, they go to the doctor's office. And the first thing the doctors did, fungus has the same signs and symptoms almost as they don't know what to do with it. They think it's flu-like symptoms. So they immediately put people on antibiotics. Looking at all of the things that I've studied about the fungus and trying to figure out why it is causing the brain malfunctions, and not only brain cancer, but it's linked to anxiety, it's linked to depression, it's linked to psychosis, it's linked to suicidal thoughts. All of that, I think a lot of it stems from when they go to the doctor's office, the first thing that the doctors do is they use antifungal. They don't even use antifungal medications, Alex. They use strong antibiotics. What do antibiotics do? They completely wipe out the gut lining.
It kills the bacteria that fill in the space. So now the fungus grows more.
So now you have an overgrowth of fungus and bacteria in the gut. And listen to this, fungus, especially Candida, produces.
Because we always hear about bacteria in the news and how they're resistant now. We never hear about fungus. It's just as prevalent.
I would say more people are in a greater health risk due to fungus, mold, and yeast than they are bacteria. Fungus just is really hard to kill. It lives, it replicates, and because of the poor diet and everything that people are eating and the high sugar and bad carbohydrates that people are consuming.
Why does fungus live off that?
Because it feeds off of sugars, actually. It feeds off of sugars.
Plants eat sugar.
Yeah.
So how does this kill it? And people do say they it can get pretty dramatic if you're really infested, so tell people about it.
Well, it creates an environment that they do not like. And it has the different compounds in the herbs, like the berberine and some of the herbs, and the hemicellulase. Those are designed to break down the walls first of the molds of fungus.
They create a slime to protect themselves.
They do. They create a biofilm, and then you have to eat away at that. And then once you eat away with that, the components, the main components inside the herbs, are designed to actually disable and cause dysfunction and stop replication of the fungal or yeast or mold organism.
So we've got folks who take Biome Defense, and suddenly their irritable bowel's gone in just a month. I'm trying to get them on here, but it's embarrassing to talk about these things. And other probiotics didn't work for them. How does this work together with the Biome Defense?
Well, the gut is always the first thing that you want to repair. It's the first exposure point. Like Hippocrates actually said 2,500 years ago that the gut is the key to all health and also the key to all disease. And we've been saying that for a long time. It's the first exposure point to the outside environment. So when you put in all this stuff, the first thing that you need to be healthy, the gut is the largest endocrine gland.
By the way, we get the term Hippocratic Oath from Hippocrates.
That's right.
For, 10 years now, they no longer give it at medical schools.
That's right.
Do no harm.
When you look into any of this stuff, whether it's bowel conditions, even gastroenterologists don't know this stuff. When you look into fungus, when you look into the effects of fluoride, when you look into the effects of pesticides.
So I'll go back. I get why it's growing in us worse, but I know a police officer in Cleveland, I'm going to leave it at that, who was like the hero of the department, you name it. He went in a vacant house that had mold. He and his partner almost got killed by the mold. He had a brain tumor from it. Then I looked it up. It's all over the place. People getting brain tumors. What the hell? Why is it suddenly growing in the brain?
That
article's right here.
That's going to lead you to what black mold actually creates. And black mold has been used as a bioweapon dating back a long period of time. The black mold actually creates, let me see if I can find it right here, the military, different types of biological testing and everything that have been done.
Document cam, folks.
But
you see all these
right
articles.
here, toxic black mold and biological weapons. Now, black mold has been found even in dishwashers now and in laundry machines in homes. And I have an article on that as well. But black mold, biological weapons have been made from T2. It's called trichoethylene mycotoxins. I don't even know how to pronounce that. But those are the mycotoxins produced by toxic black mold, which can be found in even growing in your homes. And several countries have grown toxic mold to harvest the T2 mycotoxins. Even during the Vietnam War, these mycotoxins were released over remote jungle areas in Laos. This caused over 6,300 deaths between 1975 and 1981.
Sure, but let's not just blame the elites. Is it our modern unhealthy homes this stuff grows in?
Yes. Yes. It's the combination of what mold really needs, the black mold, what that needs to survive is a damp, toxic environment. And especially down south where the humidity is above 35%, you're going to get more black mold.
So the south, obviously, like allergies in Austin.
Usually when you look at the black mold causing brain dysfunction or you cause a lot of respiratory issues or brain tumors or anything like that, most of the time those are going to be down south. In the southern.
Well, let's talk about then what MycoZX. What do you call it? MycoZX.
So it's called
normal
MycoZX.
fungal and use balance. Infowarslife.com, and it supports the broadcast. But how would people protect us? What's it do?
So basically, there's just a fungus among us. I mean, and it's just coming out with. We need to do something to protect ourselves. It's really hard to avoid.
So just like when you're a kid, cats have ringworm that's a fungus, and it can eat bloody holes in your skin. I mean, this stuff gets in our body.
There's no way really to avoid it right now because they're even showing that someone can be exposed to fungus and it spreads very easily. I mean, you touch, especially in the crowded big cities right now, you can spread it through respiratory, you can spread it through touching people. So
tell folks what MycoZX from InfoWarsLife.com does.
So MycoZX is something that you can use to cleanse. It's all about cleansing the body. You cleanse your body of harmful yeast and
these are known herbs and compounds and enzymes.
Yes. I mean, I've been trying this formula and I've got stack of results, research studies on people for 10 years, and this is the first time it's going to be launched today. It's a proven formula. It's not like we're putting something together at the last minute. I've been talking to you about
but like I said, you don't want to eat it on an empty stomach.
It just depends. You can take it with food. I personally, I like to just experiment with myself, and I've taken it on an empty stomach. But yes, you can take it with food. Some people can take it on an empty stomach.
Well, I mean, it's pretty hardcore.
It is. Well, what's hardcore is the candida.
The fungus attacking you.
The candida fungus releases up to 80 known neurotoxins.
Because and they get really pissed when they get bombed with this.
Yes. So what happens is they start blowing up and all those neurotoxins and toxins end up coming out into your bloodstream. So when you take something that kills off a harmful organism that's in your body, it's that dead organism that needs to be removed by your immune system. And most likely your immune system is not working at 100% anyway. So now your immune system has to go into overdrive to clean up.
Sure, but what happens once you've been on it a while? It's amazing. It's just
Oh, my gosh. Your energy starts increasing. Your bowel activity starts to repair itself. Your mental clarity starts coming back. I eat healthy and avoid as much. I don't even eat sugar. I try to avoid it as much as I possibly can. I don't hardly even drink alcohol that much. To me, I do a fungal and a mold and a yeast cleanse at least every 3 months. I give it to my kids because they're at school and they're around all these other kids.
Sure, and this is jam-packed with 120 powder capsules.
It's GMO-free.
So you probably got like 3 runs of this. How often would you take Myco ZX from Infowars Live?
So I would take that straight for a period of about 3 to 6 weeks to start my
How many pills a day?
cleanse. So we recommend 2 to 3 capsules twice a day. 2 to 3 capsules twice a day. If you're working with, we always recommend, we have to, we're not allowed to make any claims. We always recommend you check in with your healthcare practitioner. Just if you're on medications, make sure that there's not going to be any contraindications with that. But it all boils down to you taking responsibility for your own health and us giving your listeners, your fans, everybody out there the best possible thing to take care of these solutions.
Well, I mean, listen, I know folks that have taken other probiotics and not had the effect. We take Biome Defense that's discounted with this 10% today. I mean, that is an amazing probiotic you developed.
They're perfect for each other. They work hand in hand because the Biome Defense has 23 strains of the best probiotics that are specifically cultured for Infowars. They're not cultured on gelatin. They're not made with animal products. They don't have a bunch of toxic excipients and fillers in there. They actually said I was crazy when I came up with this formula. They said, you're going to pay. We have nobody. There's only about 4
Yeah, everybody's real cheap. It puts like $1 in the bottle. We're putting like $20 in the bottle.
Yeah, there's only 3 or 4 or 5.
Well, this is medical grade. Super fancy clinics have stuff similar.
I don't even think they have anything similar to this. I mean, there's no doubt.
By the way, folks, that's not hype. You understand? We have to give you the best. This is what my kids take. You understand?
Exactly. I mean, this is the stuff that I developed first. I had all these sponsors with nutraceuticals, they're great people, but I was looking for 5 years till I found somebody to partner with, and everybody said you're the best. And, you are a little not neurotic about it, but getting the right ingredients. You sometimes that's why most of our stuff's sold out. Sometimes 6 months because you're waiting to get the very best. I mean, you won't just put something out. That's why DNA Force is on back order right now because we're getting a fresh batch coming in. It's one of the ingredients, the Rodeo Life, which is the Tibetan rhodiola concentrate that we use in the DNA Force, which I love that formula.
No, but it's worth it, though, to not have the stuff sometimes.
Everything you have to make sure that it's up to your standards. If you're going to give something to somebody else, I want to make sure that I'm taking it, that it's up to my standards, that it's the best of the best. And I'm constantly wanting to make everything better, and we will be. We'll be coming out with some new things that you and I have been talking about and working on.
Well, you're doing a great job, and this one is the ultimate game changer. Myco ZX goes great with the Biome Defense, InfoWarsLive.com, or 888-253-3139. And you can't support an organization that isn't fighting hard. Look at the response we're getting. We're changing the world together. You are the InfoWar. God bless you all. Kevin, Delton, Alex, Azim, Susie, and others. Your calls are 3 minutes away. Stay with us. This is the Infowar. All right, I was talking to my crew. We've been sold out for like a month of our non-GMO, organic, non-fluoride toothpaste that has tea tree oil and peppermint and, of course, colloidal silver and iodine in it. People say, well, why are you sold out? Because sometimes we buy a bunch of a great product and it doesn't sell for 6 months. We're sitting on it and then we don't have any money. We've never kind of gotten over that hump to have a big surplus of money to be able to gauge all this. So we did a limited run of Myco ZX, supports normal fungal and yeast balance, proprietary blend of herbs and enzymes made with high-quality ingredients from InfoWarsLife.com, developed by Dr. Group. So when I say at current sales rates, because they just told me, they said, this is a hit. This will be sold out in about 3 days. Dr. Group,
definitely.
People actually get this. I guess people actually know how bad fungus and mold and all this is, and then using Mother Nature to counter this out-of-control system that's killing so many farm animals, bats, you name it, so many ground foraging mammals. It's just taking over their the bats get white nose. It just basically eats their sinuses, their lungs, they die. No wonder we're so sick too, especially in the South. I mean, I love Texas, but I've told people, if it wasn't for stuff like this, I couldn't stay here in Texas. The allergies, the problems. How long until we can produce more of this? Because it's about to sell out.
I'll get on it right away. I'm hoping we can have some more in within about 6 weeks. I mean, the things that
we've got to test it all to California standards. It's all
when you don't hear anybody talking about anything, that's the stuff you have to worry about. When you don't hear the mainstream media talking about how bad the fungus epidemic is, and the mold epidemic, and the yeast epidemic, and all the different strains of Candida. Science Daily just came out with a study. Well, this was in 2015. How deadly fungus evades the immune system.
Let's do a document cam shot for TV viewers. Just lay it right there. They'll be able to aim at that.
So they found that Candida albicans can kill immune cells even after its cells have died. They let the immune cells, called macrophages, consume the fungus, and after an hour, they remove the fungal cells from the macrophages. Then they expose.
So our body tries to kill it, but it kills our cells, not them.
So no, our macrophages actually eat the fungus,
kills them.
But what they're saying is it doesn't actually kill them. Do you know the fungus cells actually have a nucleus in them? Bacterial cells don't have.
Fungus. I'm not a doctor like you, but I've researched it. Fungus is basically what anthrax is. Anthrax is basically like a plant-based deal, and when it begins to die, it folds in, eats the other half, and becomes a crystalline source that can live 1 million years.
See, the
thing is, plants and fungus basically can't be killed. Well, then how are herbs then flushing it, binding to it? What are they doing?
Well, the good ones are breaking it down, and then the components. See, there's always a solution to every situation. You just have to find it. The hard part about formulating a good product is
it's like I forget there's some plant in Belize, like 10 times worse than.
So each plant has anywhere from 10 to 50 or 60 different chemical compounds in it, and so you have to find.
But I'm saying like in Belize, there's this plant, I forget which one. It's like 10 times worse than poison ivy. There's another plant though you rub, it neutralizes it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always one that does this, and there's always one that combats it, and that's the hard part, trying to find it. But when the medical profession and no one is talking about the dangers of fungus and how big of an epidemic it actually is and how many people actually have it. I
want to have you on more to talk about this. It's a big subject. I want to thank folks for supporting us. We have free shipping through next week on everything at InfoWarsStore.com. 10% off when you sign up for auto ship. 10% off when you get Myco ZX with the Biome Defense Probiotic. We have the Trump Pence 2020 shirt that's going viral as well. That's 50% off with free shipping. You can't beat that deal. And now we're getting censored. We're getting attacked. Dr. Rip, shifting gears before I go to these phone calls. I'm going to try to dig these articles up, so I wanted to show them. What do you make of Facebook saying to China, hey, we're censoring now, let us into China? They're like advertising in major news that they're censoring here in the U.S., I showed it earlier, as if it's a good thing. I mean, and now they're censoring us on just mainline news.
I think it's horrible. I mean, it just goes to show you the all-out war that's going on right now between the Democrats and all of these organizations that are forming, and George Soros behind it, I mean, to suppress information and to come out and literally lie about half of this stuff it just amazes me that people. It's after all of these things, especially that CNN has been coming out with, and all of these lies and all this, they look at what we're doing as fake news. I'm telling you, anybody can do what we're doing and pull up the documentation and the proof, the declassified government documents, everything.
Exactly. I mean, 99% of what we cover is documented. Take that. The headline they found isn't even strong enough. I've got one here in my stacks, making me mad I can't find it, where Zuckerberg's like, I'm proving to China I can censor. I've done it in America. I'll do it there too. I mean, he's just such a scumbag, man.
The karma, I literally meditate for about an hour or 2 hours every single day and try to bring love and peace and joy to this world right now, because the negativity that we're seeing from I feel for those people, and it's just an all-out fight. And I'm just like, how can you not know? Like, how can you not do the research?
How can you not see the anti-Trump people beating everybody up, acting like goblins, acting like demons? I'm not saying Trump's perfect, but I mean, why are all these evil forces against him? Because he's bringing prosperity back. He's like exposing vaccines. What's your gut tell you about Trump?
What my gut's telling me about Trump right now is he's got so much stuff and so much negative energy coming at him right now, and he's dealing with it. and it's going to take time. And I think deep down, he really knows about all this stuff. I know he knows about all this.
I don't really believe in classical reincarnation, what they say. I wonder what Trump did in the last life to love it being heaped on him. I mean, he actually wants to beat them all. Look at him right here.
Somebody in office that didn't need to be in politics. I mean, he's got money. That's the problem with politics most of the time. They're all.
By the way, he's fired all the lobbyists. Nobody's ever done this. He's totally trying to do the best deal for the people. It's what everybody always asks for. And then all the evils attacking him. In fact, I want to go to phone calls, but I just have to do it. I have to find the article. I'm going to get mad. Document cam shot. I'm just going to read headlines. Document cam shot right here, please. Former CIA analyst, Obama gave green light for NSA, CIA to sabotage Trump. We already covered that. It's been censored. Rand Paul, public will live in fear after Vault 7. Facebook banned that article. This leaked document will stop Obamacare if it goes viral. Dr. Jerome Corsi, new article, very, very important. How they robbed, all this different stuff. Donald Trump to lawmakers, no more excuses on Obamacare. Repeal it. Conservatives, libertarians bash Obamacare light. I agree it should be better. GOP plan launches, orders insurers to charge people 30% more of it uninsured. Yeah, that's wrong. That's the Republicans, Paul Ryan and them doing that. Docs prove Obamacare designed to destroy middle class. Did 10-year-old Flash racist hand gesture while posing with Trump? This is supposedly racist now, saying okay. Obama deployed dozen-strong team to keep tabs on Trump. I'm going to do every hell until I find it. Watch, kids go crazy at Trump. Report, U.S. troops deployed in Syria to respond to Turkish threat. DC Insider, Trump must appoint more loyalists. So that's some of those headlines. I'm going to keep going until I find it. Okay, there it is. Alert, Facebook implements internet censorship regime that is already targeting alternative media. Yeah, no. I mean, I get that's out. I have them in USA Today. I have the article where they brag to China, look, we censored here, you can trust us. It's like, to the biggest mass murderers in history, Zuckerberg is bragging that, look, I'm already censoring in America, you can trust me. They're using us as a way to get into China to test censorship. It's not even a news item. Here it is. 290,000 jobs created in Trump's first month, shattering expectations. BBC tells Facebook about child porn on the network. Facebook reports BBC to police.
Didn't they ban all the police gates? I mean, the pizza gates stuff,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They won't even report on Trump busting them. Napolitano, Trump first president to confront deep state. Hillary campaign manager admits to wiretaps, let slip he knows more than he probably should. Podesta didn't register as a foreign agent when he represented a bank with ties to Russia's spy agency. Germany refugees riot over lack of phone signal. I'm going to find it, okay? I'm going to find where he brags to China, okay? I'm going to go to your calls, but I've just got to show you all these articles here. Let's go to this big stack. Just got to keep going here. Trump wiretap tweets raises risk of impeachment. They're wiretapping everybody, and they say he says it's happening, so he's being impeached. I mean, what a bunch of scumbags think they control reality at the Bloomberg. Facebook denies censoring conservative news. That's from a year ago. Facebook builds censorship tool, but is no closer to entering China. Here it is. This is out of Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg. And it goes on to say, we built the tool. We're going to use it on America. Please let us in China. There it is. I mean, these people are sick. Facebook begins flagging disputed fake news. This is Sunday. But they didn't just dispute our news. They just blocked it. They just blocked Rand Paul on the show because they don't want people to see us as credible.
Yeah.
Because we're the opposite. We're totally credible.
They don't let people share anything with...
WikiLeaks unveils Vault 7, the largest ever publication of confiscated CIA documents. Yeah, they want you on Facebook so they can censor you. So people ask me, why are you on Facebook? To get people away from it to Infowars or Drudge. Why do I love Drudge so much? They shut me off everywhere else. I'll at least have that. I mean, we're down to this, folks. This isn't a game. Let's go to some phone calls. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
This hour, again, is brought to you by Biome Defense Probiotics at InfoWarsLife.com, the very best from the deep research we can bring with Dr. Group, and Myco ZX, antifungal, anti-yeast, simply amazing, InfoWarsLife.com, and it's going to sell out very, very quickly. 10% off when you get it with Biome Defense, 10% off additionally when you sign up for auto ship and free shipping with orders $50 or more at InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, Kevin in West Virginia. You're on the air worldwide. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex and Dr. Group. I was wondering if I have what's called retinitis pigmentosa. I'm losing my eyesight, and I was wondering if vaccines was a link to that.
Yeah, it's very possible. As a matter of, we were talking about fungus too, and mold, and as actually a lot of people go blind and have eye problems all the time. with
Well, the
those
flu
conditions.
shot
But-
says on the insert it can cause type 1 diabetes. They claim it's genetic. It kills your pancreas. Go ahead.
Yes. I mean, I would definitely say there might be a link with that, but I can tell you that a lot of people are using a hexane-free castor oil. I don't know if you've tried that, putting that in your eyes, but it works really good and actually has been shown with research. It's a hexane-free certified organic castor oil. You know, castor oil's been used for ages for detoxifying.
What is it? Do the rings and cones get oxidized? I've read about.
Well, it just depends on your environment that you're in. It depends on your work environment. It depends on, I mean, now you're starting to see people that have eye conditions from being in front of a computer screen all day long. Electromagnetic radiation next to the eyes. When you're
neurological disorders are off the chart.
When you're sleeping at night, a lot of people have excess dust mites that are causing eye problems in their bed. They're saying a pillow 10 years old can contain hundreds of thousands of dust mites. People with pets.
Oh, yeah. You need to get the type of fabric that knocks those out and replace what you're bedding every year.
Yeah, I would say, well, now they have dust mite free bedding, but I would definitely recommend not sleeping on one of those memory foam mattresses, which contain high levels of fire retardants. And you know, bedrooms, it can be a very toxic place. That's one of the reasons why I say clean your bedroom up first. Get all non-toxic stuff. Put some plants in your bedroom, air purification systems. You know, when you're sleeping at night, you need a good environment to sleep. And so that's what I would recommend.
Thank you, Kevin. Delton in Texas. You're on the air.
Hello, Alex.
Welcome.
Dr. Group. Can you hear me?
Yes. What do you have, Delton?
I had two questions. First question was, how can you test the levels of the fungus in your body? Do they do a blood test or what do they do?
Usually you have to go to a specialist, some sort of a doctor who specializes in environmental toxins. They're around everywhere. You can find them, and then you can do a fungus panel. You can do saliva testing as well as blood testing, or the current testing methods that are available out there.
And then my second question was, I live here in Houston, and my father, he passed away from cancer. And so I started, digging around, searching around, and doing different things. And I actually came across a Dr. Brzezinski or Buzowski. Mm-hmm. He has like a protein that's somehow supposed to help attack the cancer cell. Have you ever heard or worked with him or anything?
Everybody's heard of him. He's had some really good results.
As a matter of fact, he just had a court case last week, and they were trying to take away his medical license, and he ended up being on probation, which is just absolutely sick. And I hope that this new administration actually puts in some protection for some of these doctors. That
we're never going to have innovation. I know. He was on 60 Minutes 20 years ago getting results.
He's been using what he calls anti-neoplastons, and I do know Dr. Brzezinski, and I talked to him. His office is down the road from mine, and he's a great guy, and he's devoted his life to working with alternative or natural methods that work. I mean, 20 years ago, MD Anderson had a 4% success rate with cancer, and chemotherapy and radiation are not the answer. There's plenty of different doctors. I talk to doctors all over the world.
Well, let's expand on this. The globalists want to depopulate. Trump talks about suppressed technologies. He knows as president now. He wants to start releasing more of this. Thank you, caller. Look at this article. Not with her. Hillary Clinton bombs in New York City mayoral race polling. And punch that up.
Look how sick she looks.
She looks like she's dead. And she's so arrogant. She's way behind everybody in the poll. No one wants her, even liberal New Yorkers. Again, it's the elites aren't perfect. Their arrogance, it destroys them. They believe everybody belongs to them. They believe they're God. They believe they rule. And they don't. That's why they can be defeated, folks. People need to stop thinking they're so powerful. All right, let's go to Alex in Michigan, Azim in Florida, and Jay in Colorado, Mike and others. Alex in Michigan, you're on the air with Dr. Eber Group.
Hello. I just want to say thank you, Alex, for articulating, giving a voice to people who can't really explain the problem, and you do a really good job. So
well, thank you, brother. We're all in this together.
Yep. And I grow mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I love to eat them, and I study them. So if you don't mind, I'd like to give the data dump to you guys about everything I know. Cordyceps mushrooms are amazing for the lungs, for lung detox. You should be taking that, Alex. Cordyceps mushrooms. I believe Russian Olympicists use
Sure, so
that.
there's the good. There's also the good funguses.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan of all the different mushroom, different strains out there. And I think that's a good point. Thanks for calling in and letting people
we're here
know
bashing fungus.
how powerful. We actually use and are looking at different blends of medicinal mushrooms. So fungus is not necessarily bad. I'm glad.
I'm going to skip the break so he gets more time. But Alex,
extremely beneficial.
Get back into mushrooms. Get back into good fungus. Go ahead.
Okay, reishi mushroom is amazing. Chaga mushroom, you guys got that in the bone broth. That's amazing. It's got the betulinic acid from the birch trees, which is amazing. AHCC is being studied in Japan. That's active hexose correlated compound. And they have a patent on it. The Japanese do. And it's amazing. A lot of cancer patients are taking that there, and it's done wonders for a lot of people.
The AHCC has been around for about 15, no, more than that, probably about 20 years. We were doing research with that actually when I was involved with a alternative cancer research team back in the mid-90s, and that was a new exciting product that was out.
So keep going on the mushrooms, brother.
Yep, and the AHCC, that is the mycelium of the mushrooms, like the actual root of the mushrooms. Yeah, and you just extract that into a tea or whatever. And, you do that with reishi and chaga, because a lot of the medicinal mushrooms, those actually you can't really eat them. You have to extract them. And they're really hard, like chaga and reishi. And, those are amazing. It's almost morel season. I encourage everyone to pick morels and eat wild morel mushrooms.
I was gonna ask you about morels. We've been looking at it's a very expensive mushroom. I love morel mushrooms, but it's very therapeutic. And we were thinking about actually putting some morels in a formula, but
God's given us incredible magic on this magic planet.
It's a luxury item.
Why is the fungus getting out of control? The bad ones. Why is it spreading everywhere? They admit it's like killing everything.
Yeah, I think it's just the conditions.
Most of the bats are dead from it.
Yeah, the conditions everywhere, there's been reports and there's been testing done that it's being sprayed in chemtrails. It's also
but see the dichotomy. Mushrooms and good fungus have some of the most incredible compounds on Earth. They admit, so it's like the best thing in the world and the worst thing. It's like,
yeah, I mean, not only are funguses for people as a bioweapon, but they've been used against crops, especially like in Vietnam. They used a rice fungus to knock out.
Sure, the CIA famously even puts funguses on the legs of insects.
On food.
And then they release them to go put it on
because
there.
if you take away a people's food supply, you're going to cripple that population. So it's not like we're going to put the fungus here in your body. We're going to put the fungus on the food.
And that's
it. Was used to wipe out. It was used to wipe out the opium plant as well.
That's it. The globalists are in war with humanity. Thank you so much, Alex. Great point.
Cocaine production.
Azim in Florida. You're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello. Hi, Alex. I'm Azim from Orlando, Florida. I actually live in the actual area where Trump recently came and visited the school in the Pine Hills area. And it was a very exciting time. I wasn't able to actually see him there, but it was kind of cool to actually...
Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind on this Wednesday edition?
What's on my mind right now is that the craziness with Obama right now, and the fact that all of this stuff is coming about the stuff that he's been doing illegally with the going after Trump with the wiretap stuff, and also with the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae stuff. It's kind of coming out to me that he's been doing a lot of illegal stuff, and that he's going to be in a lot of trouble coming soon. I know he's talking about he's rolling and he's coming, but I think he should actually be in a lot of trouble right now. I think he should actually be far away from the White House right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a question. Why is Obama so arrogant? And the rest of the globalists and Hillary, they just, maybe they're just delusional, Dr. Group?
I think the majority of the people in the Obama administration might and hopefully will be locked up for everything that they've done. I mean, everybody thinks that, oh, we were living in such great times, but don't forget, these are the administrations that supported genetically modified foods, supported the use of herbicides and insecticides, supports the use of fluoride, supported the use of everything that was designed to dumb down the population, kill the population, and they continued to progress forward in that manner to reduce the population and to continue to destroy the planet. So, I mean, people are all in a hype about Trump, but look what the past administrations have done to us. Look what they've done to the we have.
Look at Trump,
a society
though.
That's sterile right now.
Almost 300,000 new jobs in just a month and a half. Trillions in the stock market. Hundreds of billions in new jobs. Just cutting off the globalist programs that were designed so you couldn't work here in the U.S. He is taking the globalist boot off our neck.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time, that we can progress. We're at the point of no return almost with healthcare. We talk about all these trillions and trillions of dollars being spent on healthcare. Well, they're creating the trillions of dollars.
No, exactly. But I mean, if Trump was doing bad stuff, I come out against him. And he was wrong on torture. He backed off that. I don't like this bill's better than Obamacare, but what the Republicans came up with was pretty bad. He's saying it's a negotiation. But I mean, so if Trump does bad stuff, I'll expose it. But I mean, I just can't believe this is so real. But again, there's not just evil in the world, folks. That's what's happening. Thank you, Azim. Great points. Jay in Colorado. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, Dr. Group, big fan. Been listening for over 20 years. I'm a huge info warrior.
Thank you.
I'm on permanent disability, and I'm home every day. So I basically work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, spreading Infowars links. And,
well, you're having a big effect because they're trying to shut us down with the algorithms. So you're in a big battle. Thank you.
Dr. Group, I think you hit the nail on the head here. I hope Trump listens to you. This is a major concern of mine with my health. I'm a 5-year cancer survivor. I use as many products as I can. I'm on a very limited income. But I think Trump needs to really address things from a completely different perspective and completely just come out against the mainstream system. The allopathic medicine is not working for our country. The Obamacare is not working for our country. The CIA is obviously not working for our country.
They admit it's killing us. They admit.
It's all the people that are standing up that have been creating change. It's everybody creating and educating the public about all these things that have created the change. Like all of the March Against Monsanto, for example. I mean, they're just going to keep going on and going on. Hopefully not, though. I mean, I'm talking about the last regime, but now, because you still have infiltrators in there too, Alex, that we need to get rid of, like McCain and the people that are just constantly giving
Paul Ryan.
Yeah, Paul Ryan, that are just constantly, butting heads with him on everything and coming.
Oh, they admit he's the one that did this bill to sabotage Trump.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we can address some of these issues and address the root cause of healthcare in America.
Jay, the last minute or so, go ahead.
Well, natural allopathic health is the way to go, and that is the new tech. That is the secret that's hidden right in plain sight. So, Dr. Group, thank you so much for what you're doing. I hope that Infowars will consider some sort of disabled pricing for those of us that are on a lower income to be able to afford more of your products.
I agree. I want to make them less expensive. The problem is getting the best ingredients is expensive. Mike in PA, a PhD chemist on Morgellons. Go ahead, Mike.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah, I just want to bring something to your attention, Dr. Group. Thank you for what you do. I didn't exactly get a PhD from a community college, so I'm going to put this out real quick, and I hope you guys are listening.
We'll hold you over if you need to. Go ahead.
Zymet Corporation, who's been putting out a machine that uses a quaternary ammonium solution to decontaminate areas. This is a direct correlation with Morgellons disease and the propagation of quaternary ammoniums throughout our society and what it's been used in conventional medicine. It has a direct result on a demyelination effect.
Sure. So what's your point? What are you talking about Morgellons?
So my point on Morgellons disease is a direct result of an introduction of things such as the barium salts and quaternary ammonium into the system through things such as chemtrailing and so
Sure, and then weird stuff's growing in the atmosphere is what I've been told. Some weird geoengineering. This doesn't look human.
Thanks for calling in and letting everybody know that.
Come back and say more. Say, don't look human. All this stuff going on, like people didn't come up with this. And I'm not into like green men and stuff, but this doesn't look normal. We'll be back with 5 more minutes. I say God bless Trump for blowing this whole thing wide open. And God bless you for blowing it wide open, viewers and listeners. Believe me, the Infowars audience, it isn't hype when I tell you you're the tip of the spear, you're the wrecking ball, you're the blood and guts and the soul of this operation. So I salute you. I'll take a few more calls because Roger Stone is late getting to the microphone, so I'm not cutting into Roger's time, folks. I'm just here. You never know what a hit product's going to be. I knew this one. You were kept waiting for years to get it just right. You were telling me this like 4 years ago. Micro ZX, antifungal, anti-yeast, now available. This is going to sell out very, very quickly, but it's got so many ingredients that are organic. Hope we can get more back in soon.
Yeah, normally
that's our biggest problem. Whenever
you take a supplement because you know you have something, but the problem that we're dealing with today is nobody really knows that they have yeast overgrowth or fungus overgrowth or mold overgrowth. So you could just
everyone is a precaution, especially in the South. Or in really hot areas, you should take it.
It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I guarantee you could probably test 9 out of 10 people, and they're going to have different types of mold and fungus and yeast in their body. And it's just another way to cleanse your body and reactivate your body's self-healing mechanism and get rid of that.
Why is it called Myco ZX?
Well, myco is kind of a technical word for mycoplasm or mycofungus. It's a fungus term. So I don't know.
Let's go to Joel.
Where you came up with the ZX from, though.
Joel in Washington, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Alex, Dr. Group.
Hey, Joe.
I had a question for Dr. Group, wondering if the biome defense culture is mesophilic or is it thermophilic? Because I make cheese, I've got sheep and goats, I've made chèvre and yogurt with it, but if it's a thermophilic culture, I can make a lot different other variety of cheeses.
Yeah, I don't really have a detailed information on that for you yet.
What is he saying? You can make cheese with this stuff?
No, we've actually had, it's a good question. We've actually had some people doing some experimentation with that, and we actually have all of that in testing. And the reason why I say that is because some of the probiotics that we use, and we also use certified organic gum acacia, and when we mix the product, we're doing stability testing right now. We're doing some of those thermophilic tests right now to determine if some of the probiotics are more active than others with heat or cold. And there's a possibility that might not even need to be stored. Look,
I'm no rocket scientist, but if you're filled with all these bad bacteria, yeast and stuff, bomb yourself with the known good ones. I mean, right?
No, it's not necessarily known good ones, but it's select ones that that have been tested and studied that are handpicked.
Sure, Joel, this is all above my pay grade. What are you getting into exactly? You're talking about yogurt culture?
He's trying to be able to make culture. He's trying to use these probiotics to make, because those are good sources of probiotics. Kombucha.
No, I got it. So he wants to make cheese and stuff with good probiotics.
That's what I'm getting, right, Joe?
Right, and I've actually tried it, and it comes out really good. With the yogurt, it came out really nice and thick. The only thing is that it had a little bit of coloring because of the actual color of the probiotic, but I don't care about that. And the chèvre,
is it purple?
Compared to the normal chèvre culture, it had a little more of a sweet flavor to it, which was actually quite good.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely not going to be anything that can be detrimental that I think would happen in there. I mean, ultimately, you're probably doing a good job in creating something that's going to be extremely beneficial to eat.
That's smart. Probiotic cheese and stuff.
That is.
I mean, I know, like, they say all the, sauerkraut stuff already is probiotic.
Yeah, they're just specific cultures, but to be able to experiment like that, I love what you're doing, Joe. I mean, that's...
All right, we're out of time. Thank you. I'm going to come and introduce Stone. He should be ready. And then that'll be it. Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Thank you, Dr. Group, for another amazing product.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
InfoWarsLive.com, listeners, thank you for all your support. You are the InfoWar. All right, you're listening to Alex Jones. We got the new liners for Roger going to start airing next week when he does a show once a week. Try to add a lot more shows here. Very exciting stuff coming up. Roger, you got a full hour of guests here, but since you just got in the seat, wow. Almost 300,000 new jobs. Samsung coming back to the U.S., ExxonMobil. Massive expansions in Texas and Louisiana. Meanwhile, the news is saying, Bloomberg, we need to impeach Trump because he claims there's surveillance going on when we now have the Vault 7 release proving everything we'd already reported. This is a crazy time to be alive. Roger Stone, where would you say we are politically in the history of man in 2017? Go ahead and take over.
Well, Alex, I'm going to take your advice next week because I think we could improve my segments with more political discussion, perhaps fewer guests, although I'm very pleased to have my guests with me today. Alex, I think we're on the cusp of the greatest single political scandal in American history. This makes Watergate pale in comparison. The compounded lies that are now devastating the establishment are interrelated. On the one hand, they clearly had the Republican candidate for president under surveillance, and at the exact same time, their rationale for doing so has been completely exposed as fraudulent and political. This could do to the Democratic Party what Watergate did to the Republican Party. It could have a devastating effect on the midterm elections, but I think very much like Watergate, Alex, it's going to take some time to get to the bottom of this. Remember, the Watergate break-in was in June. That November, Nixon carried 49 states, stonewalling against critics. It wasn't until almost a year and a half later that the entire Watergate cover-up collapsed. And that's how it will be here, in my opinion.
All I know is a month ago, the New York Times was bragging that they'd been surveilling Trump Tower and had all this stuff on Flynn. And then now they said they never did it. But I'm turning it over to you. You got a full slate of big guests today. Roger Stone, go ahead.
Alex, the New York Times turns out to be an unwitting handmaiden of the intelligence services. If you go back to their story on January 20th, and you go to their story several weeks ago, in both cases, they were Central Intelligence sources say that they have emails, financial transaction records, and telephone intercepts. Of course, the New York Times hasn't seen any of those. They haven't been produced for the American people to look at. And the Times just takes what the CIA says at face value. Given their track record of lying about torture in the Iraq War, lying about Benghazi, lying about rendition, lying about Iran-Contra, lying about weapons of mass destruction and Saddam Hussein, I don't know why anyone would believe them. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. James, the Defense Intelligence Director for Obama, coming out and saying that there was no spying and there was also no Russian infiltration into the Trump campaign, is an attempt to diffuse this. But I don't think that is going to work. And frankly, I think the entire Obama crew, as I wrote today at Stone Cold Truth, needs to be dragged in front of a grand jury to find out exactly what did happen.
Show's yours, Roger. You got your guest waiting.
Yes, indeed. So I would like to focus first on the question of John Brennan, the CIA director, because this, in my opinion, he is the focal point of the disinformation campaign. You might have noticed last week in several different media publications, he came out and said, "I am not the leaker. I am not the leaker." Well, in Washington, as you know, Alex, when somebody announces that they are not the leaker, that means they are the leaker. The man doth protest too much. And therefore, joining us today from the American Spectator, we have George Niemeyer, who has written a terrific piece, because we have talked a great deal at Infowars about John Brennan's incredible background, and we have wondered how he got, into the position of being CIA director. Just for the record, according to his wiki biography, Mr. Brennan was an active supporter of the Communist Party candidate for President Gus Hall. And when I was on MSNBC only days ago, I was ridiculed for saying that Brennan in his younger days had been a communist. Thank you for joining us here, and we're delighted to have a fine representative of the American Spectator.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So outline for us, if you would, this very important piece that you did that outlines, the role of Mr. Brennan, who I believe is the linchpin, the chief conspirator in this effort to smear Donald Trump and to make the case that there was something nefarious about his election, when in fact it was the globalists who were seeking to thwart the Constitution, smear Trump, and steal this election for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, he is the genesis of the government's investigation into the Trump campaign. He received a half-baked piece of intelligence from an intelligence agency in one of the Baltic states, probably Estonia. And he used that to convince Comey and Loretta Lynch and the rest of the intelligence community to pursue a FISA court warrant that would allow the U.S. government to intercept communications from Trump Tower.
Now, it is my understanding that the government first went to the FISA court in June. They asked for permission to wiretap, to surveil Trump Tower. They also asked for surveillance of 3 U.S. citizens, yours truly, Paul J. Manafort, and of course, Carter Page, whoever he is, some guy who managed to join a Trump issue advisory group. It's unclear whether the FISA court disallowed the tapping of Trump, but may have approved the surveillance of the 3 of us in June, or whether they turned down the entire request and only approved it in October. If that is the case, I think the clearest way for the president to clear the air on this entire matter is to order the release of all of the documents that were filed with the FISA court.
Yeah, that's right. And you'll notice that John Brennan has not said a word since Trump sent that tweet out on Sunday. You know, he's the person with the most information here, and he's said nothing. They've sent out Clapper because he doesn't know the whole story. It's almost like a repeat of the Susan Rice situation in Benghazi, where the Obama people send out the person with the least amount of information to deny the story.
Well, what's interesting, of course, is that the sequence of events here, I'm convinced, is the president gives an extraordinarily effective State of the Union address. He has wind in his sails. The intelligence community immediately leaks the Sessions meetings with the Russian ambassador in an attempt to break Trump's momentum. And then Donald Trump, who may be the single best political strategist in the country today on the basis of instinct, lays this on the Russians over the weekend, or I should say lays it on the intelligence services, regaining the initiative and changing the entire narrative so that Obama and the Obama administration are on defense and Trump is back on offense. This is a classic example of the brilliance of Donald Trump and his unique understanding of the news cycle and particularly our highly charged cable television networks that, of course, cover this stuff ad nauseum. Trump is on the attack. Freedom is on the attack. The globalists are now in decline. The fact that they sought these warrants based on no evidence, no probable cause, it is really extraordinary. As you know, George, it is very rare for a U.S. citizen to be the target of the FISA court. Generally speaking, the FISA court is used to wiretap foreign nationals within the United States. That has generally been the case. So I'm very curious to know whether the warrants were for Manafort and myself and Page were approved in June or approved in October. George, where do you think this story goes? I know the president has called for a congressional inquiry. I'm not sure that that's the best avenue, in all honesty. I think there's a high probability that such an inquiry would get highly politicized. And you'd have mindless fools like Elijah Cummings, who continues to insist that there is evidence, that there is proof, when, of course, there is none. Where do you think this goes?
Well, I think, as you were saying, they're the people responsible for these leaks Now, we've been hearing for 6 months now that the government has been investigating Trump campaign Russia ties.
Yeah, George, I'm going to have to break you there. We'll come right back. We are going to go to a break here. And I want to remind people to hit the Infowars store for the important products there that pay for this broadcast and this effort to bring the American people the truth. The truth. I'm Roger Stone, and thanks for joining us again at Infowars. I want to return to George Neumeier of the American Spectator on the subject of CIA Director John Brennan. Where we left it off was trying to determine where this inquiry will go next, whether it will be a congressional investigation that ultimately brings the Obama crew down, or whether perhaps Jeff Sessions will impanel a grand jury and pull the various Obama administration officials such as Loretta Lynch, Obama himself, of course, the director of Central Intelligence, John Brennan, Ash Carter, the defense secretary. So, George, where do you think this goes? I cut you off at the end of the last segment.
Yeah, I think either scenario that you sketched there is plausible. But I think the bottom line is, as you were saying, this is going to boomerang back on the criminal leakers. And I think the criminal leakers around John Brennan, and maybe even Brennan himself, are the most vulnerable here, because it's going to come out that they went to their stenographers in the press, like David Ignatius at Washington Post, and they gave them information that was a violation of the law. And I think Trump will ultimately be vindicated in terms of we'll find out that at the very least, a U.S. government investigation into Trump Tower was initiated. And that
it would be ironic, of course, if
John Brennan was the instigator of it on the basis of phony intelligence from one of these Baltic countries.
It would be ironic, of course, if the FISA court warrant approval gives the administration a rubric of legality. That would not change the fact that the leak regarding General Flynn and Russia, the leak regarding the FISA court's warrants themselves regarding Manafort and I, just those leaks are, as you know, a felony, punishable by no less than 10 years in prison. So, at the end of the day, as Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. And the ultimate responsibility, whether Barack Obama ordered the break-in, or I should say the surveillance or not, is really immaterial. Assuming that his Justice Department ordered it, which I think is probable, he is parsing words in a lawyer-like way. To say that, I didn't order it, I think is disingenuous at best. And then the late collusion of Hillary Clinton, who a week before the election says that computer scientists have determined that there is a server in Trump Tower that is in touch with the Russians. Well, clearly she has been tipped off by the Central Intelligence Agency. This makes Watergate look like child's play in terms of the unconstitutional and, in fact, evil intents of the entire operation. Again, we surveilled the Republican candidate for president based on a Hillary Clinton campaign press release. And that's it. That is their proof, folks, and that is not proof at all.
And if you go back and you look at the BBC story, which was one of the stories that has served as the basis of all this discussion, it says that they got the information from a U.S. senior intelligence community member. And in that paragraph, it says that John Brennan started all of this with information from an intelligence agency in a Baltic country. So how did that BBC reporter get that piece of information? It had to come from either Brennan himself or somebody around Brennan.
It is extraordinary that the Trump administration has not moved in a speedier fashion to replace the many second and third level bureaucrats who are, still infecting these agencies. That's where the leaks are coming. So the administration has a double problem now. Leaks out of the departments from Obama loyalists, and then some limited leaks from his own White House from the establishment Republicans there that he has hired. Now, Washington, as you know, has always been obsessed with leaks and leaking, but they have rarely found the perps because, of course, the news media continues to protect them. In any event, I thank you, George Neumeier, for joining us here on Infowars.com, and we'll be right back to talk about the largest burgeoning scandal in American political history. Welcome back to Infowars. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for the great Alex Jones. We are in the midst of the greatest single political scandal in American history. We see the globalists' attempts to steal the election from Donald J. Trump crumbling before our very eyes. We are privileged to be alive at this time, but as we have seen, the mainstream media has grabbed the narrative of the government. The LA Times this weekend insisting on page 1 that Donald Trump is wrong, that there was no surveillance. This is why Infowars is so important. This is why this inexorable quest for truth and quality investigative reporting deserves your support. And the best place you can do that, of course, is by going to the Infowars.com store. Now, among the other fine items that you can purchase are my book, The Making of the President 2016. There is an outstanding offer that anyone who purchases through Infowars, rather than, say, Amazon or some other outlet, will get a personally signed copy. I have provided signatures for 4,600 books so far. My hand hurts, but you can get a great price on this book. You can help the fight for freedom. You can help finance the first-rate investigative reporting. It's being done at Infowars by going to the site and getting your copy there. Now, I'm going to be joined by a guest I had on the Stone Cold Truth radio show this past weekend. He is CIA whistleblower. I'm going to mispronounce your name here. John Kirkcaldo, I guess it is. Who was very articulate and impressed me quite a bit on the show, which is why I asked him to be with us here today. And of course, what we want to talk about is Vault 7. That's right, folks. Thanks to WikiLeaks, once again, the deep state's tactics and their ability to manipulate is there for all Americans to see. So welcome to Infowars. John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Roger. Thanks for having me.
So outline for our listeners who, in the bustle of their everyday responsibilities, may not be fully aware of what Vault 7 has exposed.
Vault 7 really is a very dramatic revelation, a very dramatic exposure of what the CIA has been up to between 2013 and 2016. That's Barack Obama's second term. Remember, the most transparent president in American history. Well, apparently the most transparent president in American history had ordered the CIA to develop hacks into the iPhone, into the Google Android phone, into the Samsung Smart TV, and even into our cars' computer systems. Now, if you're an intelligence service and you're going after a hostile power, that's all great. If you're going after a terrorist group, or you're trying to target the Iranians or the North Koreans, that's great. But what we don't know, and what many of us suspect, is that the CIA was using this technology, or these technologies, to target American citizens. And for all we know, they may have even used this technology to target then candidate Donald Trump.
It appears that way. It really should not be any surprise that that your handheld device, that your television set, that so many of these electronic devices that we have in our homes and offices can be converted by the government to be listening devices. on the advice of an intelligence professional almost 2 years ago, when I'm having a particularly confidential conversation with, say, Alex Jones or someone else, I will turn the phone off and actually place it in another room. Now, some of my colleagues have told me that that's crazy. That's paranoia. No, I think it's technological reality.
No, I'll tell you that's not good enough. That's not good enough. When I was at the CIA, and I'm talking about 10, 15, even 20 years ago, when I was at the CIA, it wasn't good enough to shut the phone off or put it into another room, because the CIA can remotely activate the phone so that it looks like it's off, but it's still functioning as a microphone. So what we would do until the days when you could no longer take the battery out of a phone, if you couldn't take the battery out, you would put it in a freezer and close the freezer, or refrigerator for that matter, or leave the phone in your car, because the CIA from anywhere in the world, whether it's Langley, Virginia, or somewhere overseas, they can activate that phone and activate the phone's camera and can record your whole conversation without you even realizing that the device is on.
It seems to me that we've had a never-ending trail of the Central Intelligence Agency getting caught with misdeeds and lies, being dragged before the Congress and swearing they're really sorry, they'll never do it again. Then they go back to Langley, and of course, nothing ever changes. I think the president would be wise to clean house at the CIA as soon as possible. I was rather surprised that in the inaugural week, he went out to Langley and kissed their derriere. I would not have done so. They are the enemy. They are the tip of the spear for the globalists. And frankly, as they brought John Kennedy down, as they undermined Richard Nixon, they have every intention of undermining and delegitimizing this president.
And keep in mind, Roger, that this is still very much Barack Obama's CIA. These people who rose to the senior-most levels of the CIA over the past 8 years did so under President Barack Obama. They served under John Brennan. They served under David Petraeus. They served under, his name escapes me now, Obama's first CIA director, Leon Panetta. Panetta. So these guys, while they're career intelligence officers, they came of age under Barack Obama. Now, Jimmy Carter, who was one of the most wildly unpopular presidents inside the CIA, was unpopular for a reason. And it was because he cleaned house. He got rid of a lot of the people who had been caught by the church committee committing assassinations and spying on Americans and doing all the things that the law of the land says the CIA should not be doing. What he ended up doing was firing literally hundreds of senior operations officers in something called the Friday Night Massacre. People at the CIA still talk about the Friday Night Massacre. The truth of the matter is, every once in a while, you need to carry out a massacre at the CIA because the organization becomes too politicized, it becomes too polarizing, and it ends up working against the interests of the president and the country, and you have to clean house.
Well, as you'll recall, after Jimmy Carter appointed Stansfield Turner, the admiral, as the head of the CIA, most of those who were canned in the massacre could later be found over at the George Bush for President headquarters in Virginia. And of course, almost all of them would make their way back into the agency after President Ronald Reagan made the mistake of letting George Bush control the intelligence agencies, essentially gave him the intelligence portfolio for the Reagan years. The abuses at the CIA are legion. No one ever seems to go to jail. No one ever really gets fired. As you know, President John F. Kennedy threatened to smash the agency
into 1,000,000
pieces. Different pieces.
Yes.
Which I believe played a major role in his ultimate murder. I think it is a factor based on the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis, in which the CIA undermined Kennedy And if you read my book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, I think I make a compelling case, as did James Douglas in his book, John F. Kennedy and the Unspeakable, that the CIA is indeed complicit right there. So the real question, I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked George Niemeyer from American Spectator, because as a CIA veteran, you have, I think, a good perspective on these things. Where does this go from here? Do you think a congressional inquiry will help us get at the truth, or will this become a political circus? And should we have a judicial proceeding in which I think now that Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, has recused himself, I think prematurely, he still would have the authority to appoint a special prosecutor, somebody of impeccable integrity with a pristine reputation, impanel a grand jury, and begin bringing the Obama security apparatus bosses in front of the grand jury one by one to find out what really happened here.
And that is exactly my position. I don't trust Congress with this at all. And I think it's because Congress has proven, really, since the middle 1980s, to be little more than cheerleaders for the CIA. Dianne Feinstein, for example, when she was the chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, did nothing to stop CIA malfeasance in all the years that she headed that committee. The same thing has happened under Republican leadership. It seems that for whatever reason, members of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence see their jobs as that of just supporting CIA operations. We don't need any outside bodies to be supporting CIA operations right now. We need an organization that can find the truth, that can get to the facts, and determine what, if any, crimes were committed. And I think the only way to do that is with a special prosecutor and paneling a grand jury. I agree with you on that 100%.
Well, it would certainly put so many in the intelligence network in a position where they could no longer dissemble for fear of a perjury charge.
And in fact, if you look back through history, it's only perjury charges and charges of contempt of Congress that have foiled CIA officers in the past. If you go all the way back to the 70s, it's those two charges that have wrapped people up.
You're absolutely right. I'm thinking of the Defense Intelligence Director, James Clapper, under Barack Obama. As you know, he already got caught lying to Congress about how much metadata was being kept on American citizens. 26 senators co-signed a letter accusing him of perjury. One senator demanded his resignation. The House leadership of the Intelligence Committee was in open revolt over his lies. Why should we now suddenly believe Mr. Clapper when he tries to make this all go away with an incredible double whammy of, well, we weren't surveilling the president, and there is no evidence that the Trump campaign was in touch with the Russians. This is an attempt to close the barn door after the horses have already escaped. He has already made this mess. The ashes of Langley are going to come crashing down around his head, and there's nothing now, I think, that they can do about it. This is as inexorable as Nixon's men being caught and being tied back to the Watergate break-in. It is only a matter of time.
I say all the time that the CIA told us that they were not torturing prisoners. There was no torture program. That was a lie. The CIA said that there was no secret prison system being run outside the U.S. judiciary. That was a lie. The CIA said that they were not sending prisoners to third countries to undergo torture. That was a lie. The CIA said that it was the Russians that hacked the U.S. election and practically installed Donald Trump. Absolutely zero evidence that any of that was true. But now they want us to just take their word for it, that they're not spying on Americans and that they weren't spying on Donald Trump. Well, my view is every time a CIA leader opens his mouth, he's lying. So why in the world would we believe him now?
Yeah, put it another way, how can you tell they're lying at the CIA? Their lips are moving. No, I think that you're exactly right. And the president, however, needs to clean house. You have an analogous situation at the FBI. Why he has allowed Mr. Comey, who covered up for the Clintons in the Sandy Berger affair, covered up for the Clintons in the Mark Rich affair, covered up for the Clintons in their initial illegal server controversy, where incredibly he slices and dices all of the things Hillary did in violation of the law and then announces that she won't be prosecuted.
That's right.
That in itself tells you that by election day, when he first on Thursday said he was reopening the investigation based on 650,000 additional new emails, and then on Sunday night, I believe it was, says, well, folks, we went through all 750 or 650. There's nothing there. Mr. Comey has worn out his credibility. He has no more public credibility. It is time for Donald Trump to make Judge Jeanine Pirro the head of the FBI. She was a distinguished prosecutor with a reputation for integrity. And I guarantee you, she's one tough lady, someone I've known for, geez, I guess 30 years, going back to her days as the Westchester County District Attorney. She could clean up the agency. Of that, I have no doubt.
And I also have no doubt that the American people would rally around the president if he initiated a change like that, not just at FBI, but also at CIA. You know, these constant accusations and innuendos are exhausting, not just for those of us here in Washington, but for Americans all across the country. The president can put that to rest and can really put his foot down by getting rid of these malcontents and starting fresh.
Well, the agencies have no credibility with the American people. They have worn out their welcome. I am afraid, however, that they will have a certain number of bureaucrats who have burrowed in to the structure there, and that we will never get rid of them. They are careerists. That does not make them non-neocons, of course. It doesn't mean that they are part of the problem. But the President Trump, is inheriting a mess in both of the major intelligence agencies, a mess in which the American people no longer believe anything coming out of the agencies. When you consider all of the problems that he has to face, and he is taking on, again, like the Republican Party, what is a hostile takeover of the federal government. So our prayers are with him. I hope he will listen to this broadcast and clean house at Langley. Thank you so much, John, for joining us here at Infowars.com and helping us spread the truth and the facts about the Obama effort to subvert the 2016 election. Welcome back to Infowars. I'm Roger Stone, putting in my service here for my friend Alex Jones. Very good news today out of the Trump administration in the nomination of Rick Grenell, who served at the UN as the public spokesman under President George W. Bush, to be our NATO ambassador. Grenell was among those who was most effective as a surrogate for Donald Trump, not after the convention, but from the very beginning. Grenell is extremely knowledgeable. Despite his Bush association, Grenell is a believer in American sovereignty, in American power, in American exceptionalism, and he understands his role in NATO in thwarting the ambitions of the globalists. So in a week in which, sadly, Anthony Scaramucci from Skybridge Capital, who was marked as the man to be public liaison for the Trump White House, was dumped for a Bush quisling, which was a setback for those who believe in the Trump cause and the Trump agenda. Trump comes back and doubles down in spades with the outstanding appointment of Rick Grenell. This is good news for every American who wants to ensure that the Trump administration stays loyal and true to the Donald J. Trump agenda. I would be remiss if I didn't remind you one more time to go to the Infowars.com store. There's a couple products that I have to speak about. First of all, there is the Hillary Clinton for Prison T-shirt, 2017 T-shirt, which I predict will end up in the Smithsonian with the Hillary for Prison 2016 T-shirt. There's the Trump-Pence 2020 T-shirt, which I think is a political genius. And the one I saw most at the inauguration, Trump is my president, the red T-shirt. Now, these T-shirts play an important role in two ways. Yes, by buying them, you help to financially support Infowars. But in truth, it's not the $2 or $3 that Infowars gets when you buy the shirt. More importantly, you become a walking billboard for your ideals. You become a walking advertisement for our quest to beat back the globalists and restore American sovereignty and American greatness. So not only should you buy these T-shirts for your family, for yourself, give them to your associates at work who are copacetic, give it to your extended family. This is how we break the mainstream blackout of real news. This is how we use guerrilla tactics, some of the oldest tactics going back to P.T. Barnum, if you will, to recreate and repeat endlessly our arguments. Trump-Pence 2020. I think it's a great idea. And frankly, at the rate that Trump is going, he may solve most of our problems in his first term, despite the fact that he has had a number of establishment Republicans appointed to the White House staff and appointed to certain departments. He has remained steadfastly true to the agenda he laid out for us in the last election. Now, today comes news that the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, cannot get the staff of liberal Democrats and others that he wants to empower at Treasury approved by the White House. If Reince Priebus is holding up some Treasury Department appointees because they are not Republicans, never mind loyal, well then, for the first time, my hat would be off to Mr. Priebus. Personnel is policy. And we cannot assume that down the road, some of those hired will attempt to subvert the Trump agenda. Thanks for joining us here at Info.